I started robbing banks when I was 16.
So now you're 21 years old. How do you end up getting caught?
Botched bank robbery is what happened.
What were you thinking when you got out of prison that first time? What was your plan?
I was like, man, I'm missing something in my life. So then I hit the bank. And then the adrenaline rushed in the first bank. I was like, that's what I've been missing.
He grew up with a good family, went to college, and had every opportunity to live a normal life. But at 16 years old, Alex Harper started robbing banks, a decision that would send him to federal prison twice and force him to either change everything or lose it all. Alex, welcome to Locked In. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Man, thank you very much for having me, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. You spent a couple days in the city with your family.
Yeah. So I just came back from, I just drove up from New York City, and I was saying, I was starting to tell you a story. So the first time I went to New York, I was fresh home. I got out, I was probably maybe home. I was out of halfway house, so I was maybe home a couple months, and I wanted to go see my uncle, and my son was meeting me up there. It was like supposed to be like this great, thing. Getting off the freeway, police pulled me over. Just getting off the freeway. This is the first time as an adult in New York. Police pulled me over. They're like, hey, step out of the car. And then when you're on probation, especially federal probation, once they run your ID, probation comes up. It comes up as your own supervised release. And then which shouldn't happen, but collateral sanctions for a felon, any car you're in is allowed to be searched when you're on supervision, when you're on federal supervision. So as I'm literally just showing up in New York, haven't got set foot on anything. They pull us out the car. They start searching the car. They ask me about guns. So they're like, where's the guns? Do you have any guns? And I said my exact words, because I repeated it at least 15 times. Sir, I have a felony. I'm not allowed to carry a gun. So he's like, okay, well, we're going to search the trunk. We're going to find any guns? Sir, I'm on probation. I'm not allowed to have any guns. Well, okay, we're going to search under the seat. I'm on probation, sir. Not allowed to have any guns. To the point of his partner, he kept asking me questions. His partner just said it for me, like, hey, he's on probation. He's not allowed to have any guns. They left us out there for 30 minutes. Just me and my girlfriend at the time we're just sitting out on the curb 30 minutes while they searched the car. This is my first experience as an adult in New York City. I was like, oh, you guys don't want me here, clearly.
So what ended up happening?
They let us go. No ticket, no nothing.
Did they ever say why they pulled you guys over?
Nothing. He just pulled me over.
That's crazy.
But the next morning, very next morning, 8 a.m., my probation officer calls me. And he's like, what are you doing? Because they gave me permission to go to New York. She's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Da, 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 da. I was like, listen, they pulled us over, no idea why, and they start asking me about guns. He's like, well, did you have any guns on you? And I say the same thing to my probation officer. I'm on probation. I can't have guns. And he's like, yeah, but did you have any? No.
You would have been arrested.
I'm on probation. I can't have any guns. Sir, first of all, why would I travel from Cleveland, Ohio, greatest city in the world, to New York with a gun on me, knowing that I'm 4 months out of the halfway house from federal prison? That's idiotic, but happens. Understandable. Understand it happens, but it was crazy.
I wonder how that works in the system with how you could be in New York and your probation officer still gets notified
once they run your ID. So once your ID is ran, it's in the federal database. When you're on federal supervision, your ID gets ran, and then it automatically kicks to your probation officer.
But they must not see the notes of what Probably. Happened, right?
But it's the same way as if say my probation officer didn't know I was there, and I didn't get a ticket or anything, but my ID got ran. He would have known, and
that's how a lot of people get busted for that.
A lot of people get busted for that. Those are technical violations.
I see a lot of people that will come here that are on supervised release that don't get permission. And they're like, oh, it's fine. They don't care. They just cross state lines. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
So I did that. I did that. So I was so scared to go back to prison. So I went to prison twice. I went to federal prison 2 times. Once when I was 21 years old. I stayed out for 15 months and then went back in for 7 years. So when I got out after the 7 years, I was like, man, I'm just trying to stay out of prison. I don't want to do anything. But the problem is that the travel restrictions are so strenuous that you have to put in your request 2 weeks in advance. Then they have to contact whoever you're staying with. So that's embarrassing that your PO is calling your aunt to make sure that you're staying on the couch for 3 days for a dinner. And then now it also puts a level of anxiety on your relative or whoever you're staying with, because they're like, man, if his probation officer's calling me from wherever, does that make me now responsible for him and all those type of things? So I just start not asking for permission and just going. That's how I realized. That's how I found out that anytime your ID is ran, um, anytime your ID is actually ran into a database, it goes directly to your probation officer.
Yeah.
But I just drive all the time, man. I just get on the road and drive. Like, if you go through an airport, you got a better chance of your ID, getting flagged.
It's even embarrassing with the halfway houses when they call your job for like the checks
Yeah,
throughout
yeah,
the
yeah.
day.
So I work at a halfway house now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a vocational education. I'm basically a teacher at the halfway house now. I teach a certification program where guys are able to get a nationally recognized certification without leaving the building in 6 weeks. So, but then I get them employed. So I have to make those calls, like, to try to check. So it's weird being on the other side of it, because I remember feeling the same way. Like, man, I don't want the halfway house to call my boss, and I didn't even tell him I was in jail, or maybe I told him I was in jail, but didn't get into the specifics, and now the halfway house is calling. So now when I call, I try to be kind of as discreet as possible. I say, hey, he's staying here, versus like client or anything like that. But it's awkward trying to tell it, either talking to an employer like, hey, by the way, if he ever leaves, you need to call us like immediately. If he walks out for whatever reason, if he quits, just comes in and quits, or just doesn't show up for work, you need to call us immediately, or the police department, because we need to find him. And then they're like, is that like a realistic possibility? And maybe, depending on what's going on. So it's like weird still.
So you grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Greatest city in the world.
What was that like? What was your upbringing like?
Oh, so I grew up in the suburbs, man. I was lucky. I actually grew up in a 2-parent household, 2 loving parents in the suburbs. So my parents were older when they had me. So when I got to, like, maybe I was like 5 or 6, they were like, yeah, you're on your own. Like, basically. Like, so my parents would wake me up in the morning before they went to work at like 7 a.m. and they'd make breakfast, but I'd just be in the house. I was the only child, so I'd just be in the house by myself until 9 when the elementary bus came, and then I'd walk down the driveway, get on the bus. 3 o'clock when they dropped me off in the driveway, I'd walk back in, and my mom would show up at like 4, 3:34, and so it gave me like independence at a younger age. But my parents were, like I said, they were loving. They always kind of instilled morals and values, and I appreciated it so much. Later on, once I understood everybody didn't grow up like that, mostly when I went to prison, and people were like, so my father passed on my second bit, and it was weird because playing spades, the chaplain comes. When the chaplain comes, somebody in your family died, right? So chaplain comes, hits the pod, everybody gets quiet because it's like the Grim Reaper just showed up. So he calls me in the back. Everybody knows somebody died. So when I come back to the table, they're like, what happened? I was like, well, my father just passed. He had cancer, and we were really close. So again, I had cried in the back. So came my face up, came back. And they were like, well, did you know him? And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, yeah, it's my father. Like, I know him. I grew up in the house with him. And that's when people were like, oh, I didn't even know my father. I've never seen him, da-da-da-da. And then I started hearing more and more stories like that. And then I started to appreciate more that I, grew up in the household I grew up in. But it was interesting at the same time, because like my father taught me how to play poker when I was 5. Using the cards, like, for recognition, to know the numbers, diamonds, colors, all those type of things. Then start taking me to like gambling houses to hustle his friends when I was like 8, 9. Not gambling houses, let me take that back. Where they were gambling at, right? When I was like 8, 9. So I would start gambling probably around like 7, 8, 9. And then just gambled ever since. So I was just, from 7 or 8, I was just basically the makings of a degenerate gambler from then on out.
What did your parents do for work?
So my father was a safety and health administrator, and my mother worked in the cafeteria of a hospital for 30 years. So just regular jobs. So my father had a really good job for the time. Like, he worked for CEI at the time, it's First Energy now. And I believe he was a regional manager, something like that, something along those lines. So he had I grew up in the suburbs, man. So he had the house built from the ground up. We never really wanted for anything, right? So I didn't really have the materialistic mindset because I didn't like want anything. So my parents would be like, hey, you're gonna get these 1 pair of shoes for school, you get this 1 pair of shoes for basketball, this 1 pair of shoes for baseball. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I didn't have Jordans until I was like 20, 19, 20. Like, I didn't have any type of like flashy stuff. So it was cool, but like I said, we were well off. We weren't rich by any means, but we were well off to the point of where, like I said, we took vacations 2 or 3 times a year type thing. So
Were you an only child?
yeah, well, I have a half sister, but my half sister is 24 years older than me.
So
So
basically an only child.
basically, the only
Yeah.
child. I was the only child in the home, and my parents, like I said, they were older when they had me. They were both like mid-40s, so I was like accident baby. So they were like, by the time I'm 6, 7, they're in their 50s. They don't have time to be chasing me around doing stuff. So it was like, hey, this is how it is. And my father's a military man too, so it was real. But it was cool, man. Life's good.
What do you think attracted you to the gambling aspect?
So the initial was probably just bonding with my father and learning the game and him taking me places to play and all that type of stuff. I was really big into sports, so I could pick like winners, like sports winners. A buddy of mine, and this is probably like 7th, 8th grade, he was Russian and excuse me, his uncle owned like an actual gambling house. That's why I corrected myself before. Like he owned like an actual gambling house. So I used to give him like, hey, this person's gonna win, this person's gonna win. Just general talking, right? But because I got up at 7 a.m., I watched ESPN for 2 hours before the bus came. So I could predict winners as best as I can. So I ended up working at the gambling house. I sneak out at night, like when I got older, probably like 11, 12. I would sneak out at night and then go over with him to his uncle's place, and then they start letting me deal cards. So I would just go to like deal cards, and it was still like, oh, this is fun because I can watch, because I was dealing a bunch of hold'em hands, hold'em and 5-card draw. So it was like, oh, I can watch, and I'm not playing or gambling, but I'm immersed in it. And there was sports betting going on and all that type of stuff. So it just kind of got stronger from there once I start, having disposable income that I could throw away on gambling, and then I just start gambling. Then I went to prison, and because again I was so kind of more well versed in real world gambling, I opened up a ticket. So opened up a ticket, I was a bookie for probably 8 to 9 years of the 11 years total I did.
Do you have any resentment towards your dad for introducing you to gambling?
Absolutely not. No. What I think though, what I do is dissuade other people from gambling, right? Like it's I enjoy it because I understand that it's not to make money, right? I understand that it's not like a situation where you're just gonna be gambling and be like, oh, I came up on $2,000 today, and tomorrow I made $1,500, and the next day it just doesn't work like that. Like you're gonna lose way more.
You know what's funny is that in my notes from like when I was in the shoe, I still have it. I had this whole plan that one part of my job when I got out would be to go with $500 a week to the casino.
Okay.
Play up to 1,000, like make a steady profit. I had it all mapped out because I used to love going to the casino, before I went to prison.
Yeah, that was a terrible plan though.
It was a bad plan.
But that was like, I agree. I would love to do that.
On paper, it's great.
On paper,
I mean, anything is good on paper.
Listen, in the shoe on paper, it is great. So I used to go to the shoe a lot on my first bid. On my first bid, I got locked up 2 weeks after my 21st birthday.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So
then, did you graduate high school?
Yes.
Okay.
So I graduated, but I wasn't able to walk for the actual graduation.
Me and you both.
So that's silly too. So let me do that because I'm gonna move past it. Okay. So didn't know I wasn't walking until 3 weeks before graduation. I didn't realize I didn't have enough credits to graduate until 3 weeks before graduation. So the assistant principal calls me into the office. Well, the dean of students and the assistant principal called me into the office, and they're like, hey, we have an issue. What's going on? I was like, what's going on? They're like, well, you're 2 credits short. 2 credits short to what? Like 2 credits short to graduate. I was like, you didn't want to tell me that, like before I picked up these 3 study halls my senior year. Like one of those could have been the science or the math or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, you can go to summer school and you got to take 1 class in summer school, you'll be good. And I was like, man, all right. I was like, well, can I still, walk at least ceremonially, and you kind of give me a fake diploma until I pass in? They're like, no, you can't. You don't have enough credits to walk. I was like, that's crazy. Like, in fact, we have a meeting with your dad later on today. We've already called him. He's on his way in. And I was like, oh, man. So then he gets there, and he's pissed because he's like, he's pissed at me because he's thinking I knew this whole time. This graduation party started. We're talking about college and all this stuff. He's like, you knew this whole time you weren't graduating. We could have done something. And I'm trying to convince him. I had no clue. And, I got my senior year of high school was just whatever, right? And then by then I was already robbing banks, so I was really just, and I already had a kid. So I had a kid, I was robbing banks, and the senior year of high school just didn't feel like.
Wait, you robbed banks in high school?
Yeah, so I started robbing banks when I was 16. So let me take it back. I robbed a bank when I was 16, and then it was basically like every 6 to 8 months, right? And then when I moved out on my own, so I graduated at 17, went to school, and then once I moved out, then it started to be like every other month. Like it went from like once every 7 months to once every 3 months to once every month. So by the time they actually caught me when I was 21, I got sentenced for four banks in an attempt in a 6-week period. So they gave me 57 months because I had, it basically for adverse behavior. I got a downward departure for adverse behavior. Like, this doesn't make sense. You're in college, you're not on drugs. There's no real reason why you're robbing banks. I was literally in college. Like, I'd rob a bank in the morning, then go to class.
Why did you rob that first bank? How does that even come on your mind at 16? I mean, I'm sure every teenager thinks about it, like watching movies and TV, but to actually do it.
So so I'm gonna give you the story, but understand I'm 16 and scared to death, right? So I don't want to make it seem like, I was just went in there. Not at all what happened, right? So a friend of mine, so I had almost kind of two sets of friends. So a friend of mine, his mother was on drugs, father wasn't in the picture. He lived with his grandmother, but he was a stick-up kid. So he didn't go to school or nothing like that or anything like that. Like, we bonded over sports because we played sports together, but then, we just lived in completely different lifestyles. And he passed away since, so, RIP to him. But his grandmother thought he was selling drugs because he just had money, but he was just robbing people. Right? He was just a stick-up kid. He'd stay out. So basically, he's hide underneath the car. People come out of the club, come from underneath the car, give me everything you got, run off into the darkness. Since his grandmother made him put it into the bank, I would just go with him every now and again to the bank. So I had a son. My son was on the way. I was a kid, so I was like, I don't know if it's my child, but in my heart, I knew I had a son on my way. My parents, who are loving and great people, they're like, hey, you're not just going to have a kid on the other side of town and never, be an absentee father. That's not, how we raise you. So I started to feel the pressure of, I want to provide. Like, I want to be a father, like, not just, this is my son. Like, I didn't want my parents to have to take on the burden of my son. That was my thought process. But I'm 16. What am I gonna do? And then I'm not only 16, I'm playing 3 sports in high school. Like, it's just, and then I'm sneaking out at night, still going to the gambling houses just to kind of, mess around in there. So one day I'm just in the bank with him, man, and then he, in line and does his little transactions. And then I was just sitting there. I was like, man, I could probably rob this place. Something like that. Like, I could rob this place. Nobody's even paying attention to me, that type of thing. And then, man, like 2 weeks later, so between me figuring out or having an idea, I could rob this place. Now, every bank I go in, I'm basically casing it. I was like, oh, okay, there's camera here, there's camera here. Oh, okay, well, if I walk in and so just my mind, that's just how my mind was just working, because I had put the thought in my own head that I'm about to rob. I could rob a bank. So now every time I go anywhere near a bank or in banks, I'm just basically seeing how I could do it. So long story short, man, just one day I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna do it. So I put on this huge, like, I got my mom's long trench coat out of the closet. I had on this crazy wig. I had a hat on top. It looked like I was about to rob the bank. I don't even know how they let me in. Like, mind you, I'm 5'8" now. I was probably 5'5" then, 5'4" or something. Like, so I'm small anyway. Yeah, man. I first note. So I'm passing notes. That's how I was robbing banks. I was passing notes. So first note I wrote was crazy. It was like one of those movie notes, like, give me 20,000 fives, give me 10,000 and tens, no die packs, all these things I've seen on the movies, right? Ridiculous. To the point that she's reading and she's like, so basically the note's this long. and she's reading and she's like, and not a longer she reads, the nervous and scared I'm getting, because I'm like, come on, hurry up. Like, but I didn't wrote this paragraph. So she's trying to get to the bottom of it. And then she leans over and she says, I have to go to the vault for this. And I was like, no, no, no. No, so I just hit the counter. So the counters are, again, I'm 5'5", so the counter's like here to me. So she just was like, I just tapped the counter. I hit the counter, and then she just put the money on the counter, like probably like about like this much. Like, again, it's only this top drawer money, so it's only like 22,000, 2,500. So it's about like this much money, and I realized I don't have no bag. I don't have no bag, no nothing. So they grab it, slide it off the counter like this, and run out of the bank with the money in my hand, tucked out. Cut through the projects, just nobody. I ran probably half a mile before I stopped to even see what was, if anybody was chasing me. Nobody chasing me. I didn't see it on the news, nothing. And I was like, oh, I got away with it. I was like, oh, okay. And then so 2000 stretches pretty far when you're 16 and don't have like bad habits. So then after I hit the first one, now I'm watching now I become like an American Most Wanted junkie. So I start watching that type of stuff, and I start realizing that everybody gets in trouble because somebody turns them in. Like, they're getting away, they got away for years, and then somebody randomly turns them in. So I didn't tell anybody. So I just didn't tell anybody that I was robbing banks because I was like, somebody's gonna turn me in at some point. So I just never told no one. So I would just show up with like money, like not like a lot of money because I didn't want anybody, but I would just show up with enough to do whatever I was doing. And then, right, it went from like every 7-8 months to like every 3 months, and it was like once a week, once every couple of days.
I want to give a quick shout out to canines.org, a nonprofit providing highly trained canine teams to law enforcement, schools, and healthcare facilities by removing the financial barriers that usually stop agencies from getting them. Formerly known as Canines for Cops, they've already placed over 326 canines across 29 states and even internationally, helping seize billions in contraband, recover over 150,000 firearms, support 200,000 plus felony arrests, and protect more than 2 million students through their school safety program. Every canine placement costs $45,000 to $65,000 and is fully donor funded, covering the dog, training, handler certification, and support, no shortcuts. They're also expanding into healthcare and veteran support with emotional support canines for those who need it most. If you want to learn more or help put more canines in communities that need them, head to canines.org. Even $9 a month helps keep these dogs in service and saving lives. Would you be blasted on the news from like the videos that they have?
Well, no. So back then, remember,
Yeah, what year is this?
Yeah, so when I started robbing banks, this is 2000. So like every now and again, they may have somebody, you know what I'm saying, something may flash across like, hey, have you seen this person? But there's still photographs, there's grainy. Like now they're high definition 4K, they got you coming down the street. Like, but back then it was just like a still shot. So if you didn't, they had those closed circuit TVs. So you also had to get the bank's cooperation to, give the videos.
Oh yeah, because sometimes they want to just write it off.
Sometimes, because all the money's insured. They write off all of it. All the money's insured. So that is what I found out. The frequency sped up. I dated a bank teller. So she didn't know either. Like, she didn't know what was going to be. That's crazy. I didn't know she was so I wish I could say like I scouted her. I had no idea she was a bank teller. She just so happened to be one. And then she was like, yeah, I work at a bank. I was like, oh. So I just started, probing her with just random questions. Like, hey, what would you guys do if, somebody comes in? Like, what's like the protocol? And then so she was telling me like all the money's insured. They're basically, and side note, don't rob banks. Right? Don't rob banks. It's not a good thing. But because all the money's insured, the tellers are instructed to just get the best description of you possible. Because say they don't give me the money and I turn around and I shoot somebody in the thing or do some harm to something, they're responsible because the money's insured. So you shouldn't have, even hesitated to give the money up. That's why when you see banks, it says FDIC. Right? So that's how I ended up in the feds, because the feds insured the money that I took from the bank.
Now, did you know, or how did you know not to use a gun or a weapon, rather use a note? Or did you just pick the note offhand and it turned out being better in the long run?
I picked the note and it worked. I was 16, I didn't have a gun.
You're lucky you never used a weapon.
I am extremely lucky. So somewhat lucky. It became, so again, after I started doing it, I started to like fine tune how I was doing it. So like, yes, I was lucky I never started using a weapon, but then once I didn't use it the first time, I was like, why would I need it?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I got to prison that I realized they enhance you for
I met a ton of guys. You got the note guys, 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you got the guys 15 to 20.
15 to 20.
Armed robbery, same money or less.
Yeah. And so it was a guy I was locked up with. white guy named Bubba. He was like, and it's funny his name was Bubba because he look, if you think of a Bubba in your mind, like that's like, I think he was from like West Virginia or something. He had that accent, that twang when he talked and all those things. So he was down for bank robbery too. He got caught. They enhanced him because he had bullets. When they caught him, he had already he caught him in the car in commission of the crime, but he threw the gun. So all he had was bullets, like bullet shells or whatever he had in the car with him. And they enhanced him off the bullets. Just simply, he didn't have a gun. They was just like, oh, well, you're coming from a robbery. You got bullets, so we're going to assume that the bullets had a gun attached to it. And enhanced him, gave him 20 years for not even finding the gun. So that's what spared me, but it spared me as far as time goes, right? But because I have 2 bank robberies, now if I get caught again, I'm careered out anyway. If I get caught for anything.
How much were you making on average per haul?
$2,500. $2,500.
Well, I guess that's a decent amount at that time.
It was decent because people thought I had a real job. Like people thought I had a regular job. So like your regular paycheck, especially back then, was, if for 16, 17, 8-year-old kid, your paycheck's only going to be $700, $800 anyway. So when I'm walking around with, a couple $100, nobody's really, thinking about it being an issue. And then especially when I was in college, because everybody's broke in college, right? So if I got 2,000, I can go to BW3s, buy wings for everybody, and I'm a hero with, 200.
What was like your personality? What kind of person were you like?
Arrogant. Arrogant. But it was I genuinely felt I was just better and smarter than everyone in the world. Right? It's like the world. So not even just generally my circle. But I was really standoffish because I was always paranoid. I was always paranoid that either somebody would figure out what I was doing, find out I was doing, or rob me or any of those type of things. So I was just always paranoid. I kind of stayed to myself I'm a loner by nature, but because I was only child, I'm outgoing, I'm personable. I enjoy interacting with people, but I also enjoy being home by myself. So I was just, at that time, I like to travel. So I found it was this program, I don't know if they still have it, it's called X Fares. So it was for students, and you could fly anywhere in the country for $60. Anywhere they flew, anywhere American Airlines flew for $60. So I would just take flights places, like random places. Like, the matter of fact, the funnest, and it was interesting, you told me about something that happened in Minnesota earlier, but the funnest time I've ever had is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, man.
I heard that's a good city.
the funnest time I've ever had, and the only reason I ended up going there is because it was the next flight that was leaving.
That's a major airport in Minneapolis, right? I think on my way to Alaska a couple of years ago. Possibly. I stopped at Minneapolis for a few hours on the way to Alaska, from here to Minneapolis and to there to Alaska.
Yeah, man, look, Minneapolis is a good city. Randomly good city. But I don't know, man. Like I mean, I guess it's the same. No, not the same as now. No, I was definitely more arrogant, more like, I know everything, you guys know nothing. Ha ha ha! I got this great secret that nobody knows. And then I kind of started traveling in 2 separate circles, right? So it was like the underworld of disposable people that had disposable income, and then like the regular people, right? Or regular that I'm going to college and, all the straight head volunteer work, all those type of things. But then like I had a whole probably 18 months where I was only dating strippers. So it was like, well, by me only dating strippers, I'm in that, circle, but then I get up and go to class in the morning and like be on the straight and narrow. So it was like living 2 lives in the same body. And not that I was 2 different people, like I was the same person, just living in 2 different spaces.
What did you want your career to be? What were you going to college for?
So I wanted to be a lawyer initially.
What a plot twist. What kind of lawyer?
I just wanted to be a lawyer, man. It seemed like cool. Like when I was young, it just seemed like the coolest thing. And then so one of my teachers told me that I was a good arguer. And they put me on a debate team, and I was like, hey, lawyers argue all the time. I want to be a lawyer. And then that just happened. So it was either I wanted to be either a baseball player or a lawyer. Those are my 2. And then when I got to college, I realized how much like reading and memorizing and all that stuff that kind of went into that, and then and math, and then I ended up pivoting into public relations.
Now, were you using any of the money to gamble too once you
Yes,
started making it?
yes. It was just I was spending the money when I got it, so it was gambling. It was everything but drugs. I never had a drug problem. I didn't even really drink much.
Do you think that's based on your environment, like how you grew up?
Very much so. So like when I would see adults drunk, it just didn't appeal to me. Right? I didn't understand it as a kid. Like, why would you do anything where you can't walk straight? Like, why would you do anything where you peed on yourself or you've done like all of the worst ideas of a drunk person is what in my mind, my adolescent mind is what I held on to. So I never really wanted to drink, and then drugs just never kind of appealed to me in that way. Like I smoked weed and stuff, but not like any hard drugs. When I got to prison, I found out that most bank robbers do drugs. Like that's why they rob banks so they can do drugs, and I did not know that. did not know that. But yeah, so yeah, my upbringing definitely staying in control of your like to cause my parents were older, so it was kind of really structured, right? So like not so much like a public image, but when you're in public, you conduct yourself properly, and even when I still say yes sir, yes ma'am, all those type of things. So it was I never kind of got away from that, so I didn't like drinking or anything like that. But I like being in the environment of. So even like I said, like when I was going through my little stripper phase, I would go to the strip club, but I wouldn't drink. I would just be there and just hang out and throw some money, hang out, chill, like chill. Like I be by people doing cocaine and all that type of stuff, but it never appealed to me. But I enjoyed the party atmosphere of it all because I could party and then go home and be in silence and be by myself. And then when I want to be social, I go out and like have a great time, and everybody around me has a great time. But then I just go back home and kind of relax. And then I was chasing girls and stuff then too. So man, all of those good things was just random. Again, is living the two lifestyles in the same body, right? So I have the same mindset. I never changed, how I was thinking of who I was. But if I'm in the strip club till 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning, then we go to the after hour spot. I go to sleep for 3 hours, get up, go to class. Everybody else I was in the after hour spot in the strip club is still sleeping. And then the people I'm going to see in class at the student union and volunteering at the homeless shelter, they're wide awake because they weren't up last night at the strip club, right? So it was back and forth in that aspect. Then I had a best friend that was staying with me, and he didn't know either. He didn't know until one time I needed somebody to go with me to Atlanta. And I was like, hey, we're about to go to Atlanta. I'll pay for your ticket. He was like, how you going to pay for my ticket? I was like, man, I'll pay for your ticket. I just need somebody to go with me because so botched bank robbery is what happened. So botched bank robbery, I end up going to try to get the money. The lady moves too fast. I go in there, give her the note. She moves too fast. She gets the note, reads it, and then goes to give me the money, but she's doing it really, really fast. And as she's doing it really, really fast, a loan officer behind her, is like, why is she moving that? Like, that's weird. And I'm thinking either she was panicking or she was trying to let him know. Either way, either she's panicking or she's signaling. Either way, So Genius, the loan officer, kind of sees and he wants to be a hero. So I have on really, really dark shades. So I'm watching him behind her, not her getting the money together. And I see him look at her, and then she set the note up. It was folded. She kind of set the note up, so he kind of was trying to read it. And I was like, oh man, he's about to do. He jumps the counter. He tries to jump the counter. So she gives me the envelope. By then I had like a big manila envelope. I haven't put the money in. So she gives the envelope, and I go to turn, and when something just says like turn back around. And so when I turn back around, I hear his foot hit the counter. And he's trying to like come over and jump on my back because he's there I'm going. So I just turn in time and I kind of flip him. I use his momentum to go over. He hits the little rail thingies with the rope, hits that, makes all type of noise. I was like, oh my God, I panicked, run out. I still got the money, but I run out. I use a park like maybe like 2 or 3 like blocks down, just enough where I can kind of maneuver and hop in the car real quick and get out. So I get to the car and I'm sweating. I'm like, oh man, because now I'm like, I touched them. Everything's going on in my mind. I touched them. I might have DNA on the door. All this type of, Again, I was watching America's Most Wanted so much that it messed my mind up. So, so I was like, man, I gotta get out of town. I was like, but I can't just go out of town on my own because it's gonna look suspicious. So I was like, hey, I was really paranoid at that point in my life. So I was like, hey man, hey, you wanna go to Atlanta? Because I had friends that went to Clark, Atlanta. I was like, you wanna go to Atlanta? He was like, man, yeah, sure. So I was called the airport. We got the flights and everything. He was like, I don't have any money. I was like, don't worry about it. I got it. We're just gonna go. And then I thought about it after I called the airport. I was like, I don't want to leave from this airport. Again, paranoid, overthinking everything. I was like, I don't want to leave from this airport. So we drive to Columbus from Cleveland. It's like 2 hours. So we drive from Cleveland to Columbus and catch the flight from Columbus to Atlanta to hang out. So that's when I had to tell him, hey, this is what I've been doing, or this is what I did. I didn't tell him this is what I've been doing. I said, this is what I did. This is what happened. And then he was like, oh man. And but he's so excited. Now I'm nervous again because I'm like, oh, he's gonna tell somebody. They're gonna tell somebody. Da, 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 da. So, but he didn't. But I ended up. Like I said, he was staying with me for we were staying together probably like 6 months at that point. So we were going to school, same school and everything. So he was like, I didn't, by the time once I got arrested, he was like, I didn't know this is what you were doing. I was like,
Was that the first person you had ever told?
Probably. Yeah. He's probably the first person I ever like told in the actual commission, like immediately, yeah, no. He was the first person I told. Period. Now I think about it, because it was felt necessary. Like I felt like I had to at least let you in on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that made me paranoid. So I used to get these stolen cars, and when I would get not get stolen cars. Let me take that back. I had a few stolen cars that people had gave me to kind of fence for them. So I sold one to a buddy of mine, and I told him the car is stolen. This is a stolen vehicle. Do not get caught, because he's a friend of mine. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna just flip it. Da 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 da. Have somebody. I'm fine. The car's stolen. Don't get caught in the car. What does he do? Goes to a park with his girlfriend in the stolen car. After hours, they pull him over, or they pull up on him, whatever. Run the plates. Car stolen. He gets arrested. I find out he gets arrested, and I was like, oh well. Well, that's on him. Like again, I told him I don't know what it was, but I find out he gets arrested, and I start getting these weird phone calls. Like, and to this day, I think he was trying to set me up. This day, again, I was just too extremely paranoid that it just wouldn't. So they're like, "Hey, we were. So I'm gonna use the name, but they were like, "Hey, we were supposed to get a car from such and such. He never showed up. Do you have another one?" And I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Oh, well, do you have another one? Because we got the money right now. And I was like, no idea what you're talking about. So I stopped fencing cars at that point, because I was like, hey, I'm, again, paranoid. So I never came close to telling or interacting with anyone that I like actually knew after that. So after that, I didn't, kind of mix, I guess, business with personal. So yeah, he was the first person I actually like told.
So now you're 21 years old. How do you end up getting caught? And do you finish college?
Did not finish college. So I ended up getting caught. I took a left instead of a right. Basically, it's going to be the moral of the story. Right? That's going to be the moral of the story. So I park in the parking lot, maybe it's like half a block, but it's just woods. It's a wooded path. I come down the path, hit the bank. There's like 4 or 5 guys that's working on a car in like the far end of the parking lot. Don't really think much of it. So when I hit the bank, I come out, run back up through the path. When I get in the car, I'm driving back past the path that I just came up. The same guys that were working on the car, I'm assuming they tried to follow me, they just not close. And then by the time I got in the car and came back past the little entrance, they were coming up through. Now it was a black car with black tents, and they just pointed at it as I was driving past. And I was like, oh my God, they know. Again, my mind was so paranoid. Like, oh my God, they know. So the plan was to come out and make a left. Like, come out of the parking lot, make a left, go down the street, take the side streets, get to the freeway. Instead, I'd make a right, and I hit construction. Bam, like soon as I turn. So I'm literally stuck in front of the bank long enough to see them walk back down through the path, back to the bank, talk to the bank tellers, or talk to the people outside. And then I'm like, man, this is crazy. All right, I gotta get to the freeway so I can get home. By the time I got to the freeway, man, I start seeing cars like starting to like set up not roadblocks, but just getting in position. I get on the freeway. Once I get on the freeway, like 3 cars pop behind me, and I was like, oh well, that's it. That's it. So I ended up pulling over in the I had a girlfriend with me at the time. My girlfriend at the time was with me. Well, she was in the car. And she wasn't with me, but she was in the car. And then so I was like, man, I don't want to take her with me on some wild police chase. So I pull over get off on the exit. The funny part is, as I'm getting off on the exit, the cop was getting spikes out of his trunk. I just got to the exit too quickly, I guess. And then he like seen the car. I was like, oh, and like try to hurry up. So he put the spikes back and tried to get back in the car. And I have a police chase story later, but with the spikes. But it was funny because he was running. And I get in the I was pulling a BP gas station, just get out of the car and put my hands up. And so because I didn't take him on a chase, I actually turned out better because I didn't take him on a chase. I got bond, and they normally don't give bank robbers bond. So I got a personal bond, again, first time offender. And I got on paper, everything looks perfect, right? Like in college, got years of volunteer experience. I speak well, I can present myself, all those type of good things. Again, I still, say please, thank you, sir, ma'am, all this. So judge gives me a self-surrender. So I ended up getting a bond and I ended up having a self-surrender.
And at that time, they didn't know about when they arrested you and gave you the bond. They didn't know about the other robberies, or
not at the time. So the way they ended up, so when they arrested me, they didn't know. It didn't take them long though after that. So what ended up happening is the young lady that was with me, again, we both get arrested. They pull us in. I'm trying to get her off. So I'm like, I did it. I'm trying to play the scared college kid role. Oh man, I'm just in college. I'm just, all these student loans. I'm just trying to do, this is what I'm thinking to try to help get me off. And then they're like, well, was she a part of it? I was like, nope, she had nothing to do with it. She didn't even know what I was doing. I just told her to wait in the car, which is true. I just told her to wait in the car and it went. So now, shout out to her. She's still alive, kicking, great family, living her life, wonderful. But this was so stupid. The judge, or not judge, the agent comes back in and he's like, let me see the picture of, in the bank still picture, the one I got caught with. So then he's going through so I'm sitting there talking to like the city detective. And then he's over here just kind of, I just see him kind of flipping through stuff. And I'm still, man, I was just, I'm just scared, da-da-da-da. And then he was like, hey, can I chime in? I was like, yeah, man, sure. He was like, yeah, so we caught you in this shirt. Show me the picture. And then he was like, but there's the same shirt that this person has on, this person has on, and this person has on. So you didn't do any of these? No, I didn't do any of them. He's like, okay. Like, oh, all right, you didn't do any of them. And I was like, man, all right, you got me, right? So I told him myself, because again, I'm still in my thought process. I'm gonna just take what I'm guilty, right? I'm gonna take whatever they got. Shouldn't have said nothing. First step, first problem. Shouldn't have said anything. They got me. I should have just went ahead and laid down. But so when I tell him, they got, all right, these are mine, because he shows me like 6 pictures, and like literally like 4 or 5 of them were me, like legitimately me. But I just took the 2 that I had the same, or the 3 that I had the same picture, the same shirt on, because I can't beat that. And I'm still thinking I'm smarter than everybody else, thinking I can outsmart the police and try to convince them that I didn't do anything, right thing. So I was like, okay, you got me. All right, I did these. These are mine, right? So he goes into the other room. He tells the young lady, hey, he's telling us everything. We know everything about it. He told us that did these 3 banks. For whatever reason, she's like, yeah, and then I know, and then I helped them pick the banks out. What? What? So what she thinks she's confessing to, I'm assuming, is the 1 bank. She doesn't know I just gave them 2 more. So she's thinking I'm assuming, my assumption is that she's thinking she's helping me somehow. Right. And it's not. All she's doing is burying herself. So when the next morning at arraignment, when they pick us up, I'm looking like, why is she here? Like, why did you guys didn't let her go? Like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah. You were 100% truthful with us except for one thing. I was like, what are you talking about? You told her she hadn't have anything to do with it. I was like, she didn't. Like, well, she said she helped you pick the banks out and da-da-da-da. I was like, what? Like, why would you tell them that? Like, what are you, because now you're on the hook for 5 banks, right? Like they called me for one. I told them about 3 more and then they added another one on it. But now you're on the hook for 5 banks. She ends up doing a year that she didn't have to do. It was crazy. Like she is resentful to me for it now. And I'm just like, hey, you really, I shouldn't have said nothing, but you definitely shouldn't have said nothing. And so she ends up turned state witness against me, but that's how she got just a year and a day, because she it basically turned into he made me do it, and I was so in love that I just went along with it. But you didn't have to say anything anyway.
How'd your parents react to your arrest?
Shock, really. Like my mom was saddened. My dad was just shocked. Like, so that was the first time so the night they gave me bond and I came home was literally the first night me and my dad had a drink together. Like, I guess so my dad socially drank. Like, he didn't drink like a lot, but he socially drank. If you're somewhere, he might have 1 glass and nurse it all night. But yeah, he just poured poured a drink for me, gave me a drink, and we just sat down and talked. And he was like, I never even would think that you would even be able to do something like this. Like, it doesn't even, like, he's like, it doesn't fit your kid. At this time, he doesn't even know that there's multiple. He only thinks it's the one. She's like, this doesn't even fit your character. I didn't even, know why you would do this. And then I didn't really have an explanation at the time either, because I was just like, I mean, I did it because I didn't want to say I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So, because now I'm embarrassed and ashamed that my parents had to come, because now the jail part is kicking in. Before it was just fun and I'm getting away with all this stuff and I'm so smart and but then when your parents are really have to come get you and are really sick with them, sick and like crying and like that really touched. So I was ashamed, embarrassed. And then like they were like, all right, we're gonna get you through this. Like, let's move forward, move past it. And then I think because after a while I came to grips with it. So I would like joke about stuff. Like, my dad might say something after I got out of prison. He might say something like, "Are you scared?" Something like me, like, "You don't want to go through the yellow light. What, were you scared?" And I was like, "Dad, I used to rob banks. I'm not scared of nothing." Right? But he would never laugh. It would be like, "Why do you say?" Like, he would be like, "Why don't say that? Like, don't let that go. Like, kind of put it in the past." So that's kind of how they all reacted to it. And then everybody else around me was like shocked still. Because again, 2 separate worlds, right? So the world of disposable income and strippers and drug dealers and gambling houses, like nobody flinched, like nobody even batted an eye. But everyone else was like, "Oh my God, what was this? When did this? Why?" And then so what ended up coming out, people thought I had a drug problem. Like, people sincerely were like, "Must be on cocaine. That's what it is. Let's go. It's got to be cocaine." like because like, you don't smoke crack, so it's got to be like cocaine or heroin. We don't see any track marks. Cocaine it is. And I was like, no, no, man, not at all. And then even my gambling habit really wasn't a gambling. I mean, it was a gambling habit, but like, if I didn't have money to gamble, I would just go deal cards at the gambling house. Right, so that would be my fix if I wasn't actually gambling. But I was sports bet all the time. It just makes the game more interesting to watch. So it was just like shock, and then I'm sure it was a lot of embarrassment. I'm sure for my parents, like to their peers and like to the family, I'm sure it was they're embarrassed. So I that's the regret I have about all of this. Like, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I'm doing so much great stuff now in the reentry space, and I go around the country and I talk about post-incarceration syndrome and try to work with professionals on how to work with guys coming out that have post-incarceration syndrome. And so I had to go through that to know, my bigger purpose and how to help people on a larger level. But it sucked at the time. Like,
How long does it take you to resolve your case?
the first case?
Yeah.
So I got arrested August 5th. I was sentenced December 12th.
Oh, that was quick. So you pled out. And,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Because I was on house arrest. Once they gave me bond, they gave me personal. So I was on house arrest. So I was still taking college classes. They were still letting me go out and take classes. So I mean, I was taking real classes. I was at like the community college taking real estate, something like, just to get out of the house. Because I knew I was going to jail. Right? And it wasn't like if I beat the case, nah, I'm going to jail.
An honorable criminal.
Yeah. So, so yeah.
December 5th, you get sentenced.
December 12th, I got sentenced.
12th, okay.
January 21st, I had a self-surrender. So I turned myself in January 21st, 2006.
How much time?
57 months.
In federal prison.
Federal prison.
So the state kicked it to the feds at some point.
No, only went feds. It went straight to the feds.
But the state was the ones that arrested you that day?
Yeah. I got arrested that day, but the federal agent was already around, I guess. So
already investigating.
Yeah. So when I was questioned, the federal agent was already on site.
Okay.
Yeah, it left the jurisdiction. I never even got arraigned in the state. I got, or at the local level, I went straight to the federal building the next day.
Where did you self-surrender to?
Elkton. So I was at FCI Elkton, which in retrospect probably wasn't the best place to put me, right? Like, again, on paper, it makes sense, right? 21-year-old kid, never been in any trouble, all these great things on a resume. But it's 45 minutes from home. The Elkton visitation was in the evenings. So Elkton visitations were Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 to 7. And then Saturday, like 9 to 1, I think, something like that, or 10 to 1, because it was after count. So 10 to 1, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 to 7. So I'm straight from college. I'm getting visits Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right? I'm getting visits all the time. So then once I'm getting visits all the time, I start bringing in weed, because what else am I going to do? Because I'm getting all these visits. And so I start bringing in weed. So I had a little bit of money left, so I opened a ticket because I'm a gambler. So I realized everybody else in there either gamble. Everybody in the low either gambles or smokes cigarettes. Everybody. Like, or is super religious. Those are the only three. Either
sometimes it's a mix of everything. You would see the religious guys smoking cigarettes over.
Listen, the religious. So sometimes the religious guys, and I accounted to, because I try to look at the psychological aspect of it, right? The religious guys a lot of times weren't religious and are trying to find something to hold on to they're trying to find something to help push them through their time, right? And religion just seems like the easiest, most structured type of thing, like whether it be Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever it is that people grab. At that point, you fall back to. I want to say when you're at your lowest, you kind of try to find something to give you that hope to get you through if you don't internally already have it. So the religious guys were almost worse, as they were just everything else. Like, so I also sold like fiend books, right?
What's that?
Excuse me, pornography.
Oh.
So I also sold pornography. So when I got to Elkton, let me take a step back for context, right?
Yeah.
So for context, when I got to Elkton, they were like, so I had a self-surrender. So when I walk in, I'm the only person there, right? Because when they're doing intake and everything. And I almost got sent to the SHU immediately. So my lawyer told me, don't wear a bunch of clothes. There's nothing, everything you're going to walk in with is going to get sent home. So I was like, okay, no problem. So I had on basketball shorts and a T-shirt. So when the cop starts patting me down, he's like, you got anything on you? I was like, yeah, I got 38 in my pocket. Because I'm joking. I'm thinking this is a joke, right? I got on basketball shorts and a T-shirt. I don't have anything. He was like, what? Like, steps back, makes this whole dramatic. You have a what? What do you have? What's going on? I was like, yo, nah, man. And again, at this time, I'm 145 pounds, 5'8", 145 pounds, man, with one white T-shirt on and some basketball shorts. I don't have anything. But yeah, they put me in a holding cell and everything for like 2 hours just because I said I had a 38 in my pocket. So anyway, fast forward when they come to do the initial intake, because I'm still sitting in this cold ass cell. He was like, well, what's your educational background? I was like, well, I'm just coming from college. Like, literally, I had class like last week. And then he was like, oh, okay, then would you mind being a tutor? I was like, sure, I'll be a tutor, I guess. Like, so I became a GED tutor before I even hit the compound. So that gave me access to the copy machine, because I'm a tutor. So because I had access to the copy machine, I could run my tickets, I could run all that stuff. And then because I run the tickets every day, somebody was like, hey, can you copy this like porno magazine for me? I was like, sure I can. But while I'm going to do it, I'm going to run off 4 more. And then so I'm gonna give you your copy, and then I got 4 more. So now I'm selling like porno books for like a book and a half of stamps.
Can you tell everyone what a ticket is that doesn't
My
know
bad.
about gambling?
Yeah. So a ticket would be where you put your plays, like where, like, so they will all be on one thing. It's almost kind of like a receipt, right? So you put your parlays in, parlays or whatever it is you're betting on or gambling on one kind of slip, and that's considered a ticket, and you turn your ticket in. In federal prison or prison period, so you make Xerox copies of the tickets, and the tickets end up being this big. The tickets have the entire schedule of that day's slate on it. And you could pick the team, or you could pick the overs and unders on the same ticket. Like overs and numbers are normally by letters, and the teams are normally by numbers. So that way, when you get the sheet of plays, like you could look at it and exactly tell, hey, everybody took the over on San Antonio, or everybody took San Antonio. That way, you kind of figure it out by eyesight exactly what people had, and then also all texts are in effect. So all texts are in effect mean any type of technical violation you lose, meaning if you wrote the wrong number on something, if you turned it in late, all those things matter. So your ticket is the receipt that you have for the plays that you put in, so that's where you can get paid. So I would have to run off. So basically, I would make a schedule. I write out a schedule every night. I would pay somebody in the library to type up the schedule for maybe like 6 weeks. So like literally typewriter, tap, 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 tap. So they would typewriter a whole schedule, would come out on a big sheet of paper. I go to the copy machine, shrink it, put 4 or 5 on the same thing. So now this whole big sheet is now just a sliver with the games and everything on it. Cut them down, and now I'm just passing out the sliver paper with the slate with the games on it to people that wanted to play, like gamblers. And then they would keep that, and they would give me back whatever the actual numbers that correlated with the slate that they have. So that was my entire routine all day, like basically all morning. So the mornings I would go make the copies. I would fill in the lines, go make the copies, split them up. By lunchtime, I'm actually passing out the gambling slate for the day. And then by recall, which is normally like 3:30 or just after recall, like rec call at like 4:30 after the 4 o'clock count, my runners would start bringing me back the plays from their respective units.
Now, was no one running a ticket there already that you were able to just kind of set up shop there as a new person?
Oh no, there were tickets, but the ticket I started initially, it was funny because it was when like the Cash Money, Young Money was out. So my first ticket was called Young Money. So I would just go around like a popcorn vendor at a basketball football game, like Peanuts popcorn, and NFL, NBA, NFL, NBA, MLB. And now I'm walking around with the tickets, and it was such a kind of marketing tool that even though there were other tickets out that people were already playing and all those type of things, it was almost like funny, right? Like people would be like, man, what you got? Let me see what you got. And then so that's how I built up this clientele of the ticket, because so one thing I learned just being in the gambling houses growing up, that as long as you pay people like on time or early, they'll keep playing with you, right? As long as there's never a discrepancy about their money, because they lose so much that when they win, they want to feel like a winner. So I'd be on the rec yard, and I'd be taking bets off the rec yard until I got big enough to actually have runners in the units. So there were probably, when I got there were probably like 3 tickets, maybe about 3 tickets. But mine, because again, I'm going on the rec yard, just walking around with tickets, I'm getting plays everywhere versus just in the units. So then I ended up, and I don't know where he's at now, but it's just Jamaican guy named Preceded, and he used to fix radios. So he would sit in his window and just watch look out on the wreck. He wouldn't leave the unit really much because he just fixed radios. People would bring their radios to him, and that was his hustle. So he just saw me walking around on the rec yard so much. He's like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Because it just was foreign, right? In prison, you don't walk up to people, right? Just randomly. And there's certain areas where you can't just walk through, right? Like this is So like if the Serenios are playing handball on one of the handball course, this is a closed section type thing. But I didn't know that. I was just so ignorant to the fact I'm just going wherever there are people at. And because it's like, it was like, I guess it was probably you're so stupid that you're harmless. And people would just let me kind of matriculate. I didn't know Spanish or anything like that. So they were just like, what's dude doing? And I'm walking around, MLB, NBA, who wants to play a ticket? And they're like, I guess, man, like this kid is crazy. So that's how I just built my ticket up. So President seen me moving around and he was like, what are you doing? He thought I was selling something, like actually like selling something. I was like, nah. So I told him what I was doing, and he was like, do you think you could sell, and this is how I got into the tobacco game. He was like, do you think while you're out on the rec yard, you could sell my cigarettes for me? Because he didn't like leaving the unit. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, sure. I can, I'm out here. I guess I can sell cigarettes. Like, who do you want me to sell them to? He was like, anybody that wants to buy them. I was like, okay, cool. Come to find out, the chaplain, again, I don't know this. This is all in like my first. So I opened up a ticket probably 3 to 4 months after I was there. By the summertime, I had my ticket up and rolling. So I got there in January. So, again, within the first 3-4 months, I just set the ticket up. And again, it just started out because I just knew lines. So I would move the lines. So I would have better lines than everybody else because I would just move them. I didn't understand the structure of like uniformity, right? Like, so if the Lakers are giving up 6, but I think the Lakers are going to lose, I would have Lakers giving up 4, right? And then that 2-point difference brought in so much money. And then, so that's what I would do with a lot of the games. I would move, and sometimes I get hit because I move the lines, and sometimes, most of the times, you put something else with it, right? So if I take the Lakers, and the Lakers is the only line that's different, and I move it 2 points, people would take the Lakers on my ticket and then maybe play everybody else on everybody else's ticket. Anyway, so kind of find out President is connected with the chaplain. The chaplain is bringing Jamaican cigarettes, like 40 going north. I don't. He's just bringing a Jamaican, not on some like I work with you guys. Just you're Jamaican, I'm Jamaican. You guys like cigarettes, I'm gonna bring you cigarettes. So he's bringing them like 2 packs a week or 3 packs a week or something like that, and he's not asking for any money. So President started selling them to me for $100 a pack. So he's selling them for $100 a pack. I would cut them in 3s. So each cigarette for a book of stamps is like $5. So basically each cigarette got me like $15, 20 cigarettes in the pack. So I make like $300 off of the $100 investment. And I just started doing that. So that went with the ticket money to help my ticket grow. So that's how I got a big enough ticket. So that's to answer your question. There were other tickets, but I started out just so, I guess, again, the marketing aspect of it, that my ticket grew faster because once I got the cigarette plug.
When you're established with a ticket like that, how much could it bring in on a football Sunday?
Oh, on a football Sunday, you can make like 1,000, 2,000 easy.
Profit?
Yeah, profit. No, all profit.
That's
easy.
with the losses counted in for
all of it. You eat, and that's easy. And depending on how big of a ticket, like I've had like really big, good football weekends where like I've made like 5,000. Now again, it's compound money, right? So a book of stamps is $5. So if I made 400 books, that's the $2,000. Like, you see what I'm saying? That's the 2, or whatever the math is. But if I made 400 books that weekend, right? Which is not difficult. It's really very common. Is if you're in say average prison yard probably has 6 to 8 units. So if you make 20 out of this unit, 50 out of this unit, but you might make 200 out of one unit because everybody missed. Right? Everybody took the same thing that day and everything died. So you just make, you see what I'm saying? So if you get a situation where, so in the real world gambling, if you get a push, you still get some money, right? It's voided and you can still get money. In prison gambling, ties lose. All ties lose. So I actually made more money during baseball season than I did during football season.
Because it was easier to push.
They all push, right? But you have probably 60 to 70% of your baseball games end in one run, right? If the home team gets a run at the end of the game, now again, this is before the new rules where runner starts on second and all that type of stuff. But most of the games are 1-run games, so I'd make more money during baseball season than football season, but the volume was higher than football season. So With the college, yeah, but I've also lost thousands on a football weekend too. So like you get so the first 2 weeks of college, first 3 weeks of college, they all play non-conference games. So the favorites just come out and blow people out. So you might lose like you might lose 1,000 on a Saturday and just hope Sunday's better. Right. And then Sunday comes up and you mess around and lose another, 1,000, 1,500 on the Sunday. And then you're like, hey, hope I recoup this during the week so I can open up next weekend type thing.
So when in the free world, when someone loses big, they don't have to go to bed near their bookie that just took all their money. So is it weird, like walking into a guy that just paid you, say, $500 and he's in the shower or anything like that?
No, you definitely become the universal villain, right? Like, so but it becomes more of a, because in prison it's a lot of camaraderie, right? So even though you're playing my ticket, we also went Saturday lunch together. We all all these other things, like, and then when someone won, I always made a big thing of it because again, I learned early that people enjoy winning and everybody loses so much that you want to celebrate. So I would make a big deal when people won, so it's been a couple times where I was like, hey, got a winner over here, man. He got me, because you got to make it seem like it hurt. Like you got to make it seem like it was, man, he got me, man. He hit me for da 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 da. And people be like, hey, man, don't tell. I owe people. You're like, bro, you can't tell people that I hit for $100 because I owe out a lot of that, and I may not want to pay. And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually got beat up by accident. So I don't know that he's been ducking people this entire time, right? I don't know you, because in prison, if you a bad paymaster, people stop letting you owe them, right? So he never owed me because in essence, I'm the drug dealer of choice, right? Gambling in prison is the drug of choice of most people, right? Again, that's what you get: religion, gambling, and tobacco, right? Now they smoking K2, and it's all crazy. And that started happening toward the end of my second bid, where the K2 started, which is dangerous as hell. And I saw a guy smoke K2, and he forgot how to talk for like 3 days. Didn't say a word. Anyway, so guys, as far as like, so the guy was telling me like, hey man, you can't be telling people that that I hit that. I was like, oh my bad, but the word had already got out because I'd already oh man, such and such hit for da 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 because of advertising, right? I want to make it seem like like casinos, right? When you hit a jackpot in a casino on a slot machine, bells, whistles, ding 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 ding, all this stuff are happening. So anyway, long story short, I come out to give him the money, and there's like people like close. It just, you can tell when something is just off. So I'm like, hey man, come get you. And he's like, no. He starts trying to like wave me off, and I was like, no man, come get this. Because I got to go do something else, and I want to get this off of me, because if I get caught with I think it was like 120 books or something like that, whatever it is, but it was over 100. But I was like, if I get caught with your books, I'm out of that, and I still have to come back and pay you, man. So come get your money. And then so he was like, hey, come walk with me. So we start walking the track. And he's like, man, I owe people. Hey, just kind of slide it to me. I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm not about to do all this, because I'm so green to how prison works. Right? I'm young. I'm like, I'm not about to do all this, man. I'm here, man. So I just we probably make it halfway through halfway around the track, and I just pull out this little so book of stamps is probably like a book of stamps is tiny, but 5 books of stamps is probably like that big. Right? So I pull out the sleeve. I just hand it to him. So I got 5 books. So they're in 2 things. So it's 10 5-book things. And they're probably like this, and it's like this long. And I have it on my waistband so I can make it through. So I pull it out to him, and I hand it to him literally like this. Here, man, here. As soon as I hand it to him, I look, I'm give it to him, I look, and I turn because I'm about to leave. And I see the same guys that were kind of hovering around coming down the hill to the track. And I was like, that's peculiar. Because hey, NBA, MLB tickets, I'm back on my tickets. Man, he made it almost like another halfway around the track. He didn't make the whole lap. So he made it like another halfway around, and then they caught him as he came around, and they were like, you could see the conversation. And then they just jumped him right there. So he owed like 3 or 4 different people, and I guess whatever explanation he was using, Didn't work.
That's
So they
funny.
beat him up right there, stomped him around right on the track. Stomped him out on the track. And I was like, ugh, I kind of feel somewhat responsible for that. But like in other situations, like I would like buy the whole TV room, like so say somebody's making burritos or quesadillas or something, I would buy the whole TV room, like quesadillas. Like if I would have different things, like if you play with me all the time, I just give you a free play. Like I just be like, no, don't worry about it. This one's on me, type thing, right? Or if you've been losing a lot, I'd be like, don't worry, this was on me. Let's try to see if you hit, like because I was in. So by me again being on those gambling houses in the free world, like I've seen people mortgage, car note, wife's wedding ring. Like I've seen them really go bad, like be like down bad, just chasing the gamble, right? So again, I was ignorant to the prison part, but I was very, very conscious of the losing gambling part. So I think that helped me also because people probably, I was younger, so I'm probably non-threatening. And then just the empathy that I showed them when they lost, right? Like, oh man, that did lock up. And then I played tickets myself, right? Like I played other people's tickets. So I would be sweating the ticket right along with them. Like, or if I got too many bets on a certain team, I'd push it off onto another ticket. So it's like, people would be in the TV room like, I got your ass today. I got you. I'm about to. And I'd be like, yeah, but you don't know. I already sent your play. I took half of what you bet. Like, so if say you bet $5 on a 5-pick. So if you bet $5 on a 5-pick at 25-1, I took 3 of those and put the same play in on someone else's ticket. So if you hit, I hit, and this cushions the blow. So a lot of times, even that, like I would just I was a gambler, so I could understand the gambling mindset. And I think that made it easier for people to lose to me and still be kind of cool with me. But somebody did try to rob me before though. I did almost get robbed. Well, I got robbed, not almost got robbed. So at Elkton, they have side TV rooms. So I was trying to learn stocks. So they had the Italian TV room, the black TV room, the Mexican had 2 TV rooms. And I would go to the Italian TV room and watch from outside the glass because I could watch the ticker. Like I could listen to the game from the big TV room and I could watch the ticker for the stocks. And the Italian guys would every now and again let me even come into the room and just kind of hang out. Actually, I got really close with them after a while. But there was a hallway leading to the other side, the thing. So I wanted to watch. I was watching the ticker for the stocks, and I wanted to go watch. I think it was Sons of Anarchy at the time, but it was something like that on FX. Like, and again, in prison, like shows that people watch are like an event. Like people like make food to watch a show that comes on every week. Like people like get strategic chairs, and so the TV room gets packed. The little small TV room gets packed. So I'm trying to hurry up over there, and I didn't go back to my cell and basically get everything off of me. So there's a little like it's a closet where they hand out supplies during the day, but it's supposed to be locked at night. As I'm walking through the hallway, the door cracks, and I was like, "Oh, the door's cracked," and they just snatched me in the thing. Again, I'm at this point, I gained a little weight, so I might have been 160, right? So they snatched me in, and so I'm fighting because I'm thinking that I'm actually my mind. I'm thinking I'm trying to rape me, right? I'm thinking because again, I'm just so I'm like, man, they trying to. So I'm like fighting, and then I realize they're only grabbing my pockets and my like they're letting me. I'm hitting them, and they're letting me hit them because they're grabbing my pockets and my socks and taking my shoes off. But I had on. So you have on a pair of shorts. I had on 2 pairs of shorts. One had a string on it, and then I had on the jogging pants over top of both of those. So they literally took my pants off. Like as I'm fighting, they take the pants off, take the shoes off, and then I just get out the room. So I'm assuming that they thought they had the what's the name. So I just fight all my pants and everything, but I got on shorts, and so it's not like I'm naked. And just take off. So I go get the homie. I'm like, man, somebody in the closet, man, they just tried to grab me. Da, 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 da. Like I'm in full panic, man. That's crazy. Somebody, da, 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 da. And then he was like, all right, come on. So like 3 homies come around the corner. Now this is a low. So it's funny now because I made so the second bid I went up. So I ended up my bid at a medium, but I went to a USP. So I went from the low to the USP back down. So it's funny now because going to get the homies at a USP is completely different than going to get the homies at a low. So in retrospect, it's like, what was y'all really about to do? But again, They wanted to, keep up appearances. They're like, man, somebody just tried to rob my little homie. They come around the corner, they gone. Whoever it was already gone. So I never even found out who tried to rob me. Like again, because all they got was my pants and the shoes I had on. So I seen the shoes that I had on the rec yard being sold like maybe like a month later, and they were custom. Custom shoes in prison are just somebody went to Hobbycraft and painted the white Air Force Ones, but they put a blue lining around it. So they were custom, prison custom. And I seen them on the rec yard a month later, but I still don't know who tried to rob me.
Why'd you end up at a USP on that first bid?
Second bid.
Oh, second bid. Okay.
Second bid.
So how much time do you do on the first bid?
57 months. I did I got 8 months good time. So I ended up doing 49 months.
How old are you when you get out, and what year is that?
I get out at 24. No, 25. I get out at 25. I'm back in prison by 27. So 2005 to 2009. I'm back in prison by 2011. I get sentenced. And then I get out in 2018 on myself, second bid.
What were you thinking when you got out of prison that first time? What was your plan?
So when I got out of prison the first time, the bid was too easy. One, first and foremost.
Clearly, you're living good.
Yeah, listen, the first bit was way too easy. I didn't learn anything, like absolutely nothing. But let me take that back. I learned a lot, right? But I didn't learn I wasn't emotionally mature. I didn't learn financial literacy. I didn't learn like anything I was gonna actually need when I got back in the world. I learned a bunch of prison stuff though. Because prison was the new thing. Like prison was exciting to me on my first bid. So my whole first 4 years, again, 21 years old, I'm at a low, so it's not like it's like any real element of danger. Like it's danger, mind you, prison. But let me take that back because there's definitely element of danger. First week I'm at Elkton. So Elkton I don't know if it still is, but it was a disciplinary low. So it was also an ICE detention facility. Which is funny now because they do the whole ICE thing. They used to do an ICE sweep from the facility once or twice a year. They did an ICE sweep where in the middle of the night you look up, whole soccer league gone, like a whole soccer league, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, everybody gone, right? And it was just what it is because it was a detention spot or immigration spot. So first week I'm there, they're like, hey, you got to get up, you got to go get toilet paper. On Wednesday. So Wednesdays they gave you 2 rolls of toilet paper and like the shit, shower, and shave.
Yeah.
The little thing. So it's a bottle soap, and they basically give it to you and say, hey, everything you're gonna do it. You're gonna do
It's like the 3-in-1.
The Bob Barker. Bob Barker. And I don't know if it was Bob Barker like from The Price is Right. But whoever Bob Barker has
He made a killing.
Oh my goodness, it's a monopoly. He's got generic soap, generic shaving cream, all that stuff is all Bob Barker stuff. So they're like, hey, you got to get up on Wednesdays. You got to go get the toilet paper stuff. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'm in line when the homies come and say, hey, get out of the line. We're going to go eat first. I'm like, nah, man, I'm already here. I'm going to because the line is out of laundry and just a long line down the compound. You just, just a line of hundreds of guys and just waiting to get toilet paper. Everybody's kind of laughing and talking. Like, nah, man, I'm already here. I don't really want to do it. He was like, nah, because again, I don't know prison rules. I don't know when somebody taps you and say you need to leave, you need to leave. So I'm arguing with him like, nah, man, I'm already here, man. Y'all woke me up, told me I had to be here. Like, I'm here. So he's like, all right. So the homies go, they mob out, they go to breakfast. I don't know, 6 steps, move forward 6 steps later, Mexican come hit another Mexican with a lock, like maybe like 4 people in front of me. Bam, 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 blood everywhere. I was like, oh my God, where am I at? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I don't know that this is a one-off. Like this doesn't necessarily happen in the lows like that. It happens all the time everywhere else, but in the lows that happen. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in the most dangerous place in the world. This is fucking crazy. And I like not run to the chow hall, but kind of like trot again, going to the homies. Hey man, did you see? So I tried to tell you, man, to get away from it. So so it was like I thought I was in danger, right? I thought it was in danger, but it really wasn't. But anyway, so I didn't really learn as much as I should. So what my problem was when I came home is I was trying to catch up to people that were like in college. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave this, like, again, two different worlds. So I'm gonna leave this world alone and I'm gonna get back to trying to get my degree. Like, cause I was a public relations major and I had an associate. So I'm like, man, I want to finish my degree. So my initial thought was I was gonna finish my degree. And then I had a rental property. Well, I didn't have a rental property. I got one at the time. So I was like, I'm gonna get some rental property, get my degree. And really, to be honest, I had no concrete plan other than I'm about to try to get back to where I think I'm supposed to be, like where I felt like my trajectory was taking me. Like, so I came home. A buddy of mine, his father gave me a job third shift at the gas station. So I was behind the glass as cashier at the gas station, which was cool because I could be out without actually being out, right? Like I still interact with people without actually being out. But then I get off at 3 in the morning and I'd go to after hour spots and like hang out, right? Because this is comfortable, right? So it's like I'm leaving the lifestyle alone, but I can still go to the after hour spots. I went to strip clubs a little bit, but it didn't have the same kind of luster, right? Because now I'm just a customer. So I didn't stop doing the strip club thing so much. And then I just started working, man. I had a good job and everything. So I was a telemarketer and with the scamming companies. Like some of the scams, man, are wild. So I was a scammer and I didn't know I was a scammer. So the way they were running their scams, so satellite radio or XM number was 888-800-1234, right? What they did, they bought 800, they bought 800 and 900. So what was happening was people come across their thing where they needed to pay their Sirius satellite bill. And they was like, call this number for customer care. And the number is 888. But it looks, people are just so used to dialing 800 that they're just dialing 800. So they call us and we sell them direct TV and ADT home security systems and direct TV, which is ironic because I was literally fresh out of jail selling home security systems, which is crazy. But I end up being good at it because even back then, so now everybody knows about Google and Google Maps, but back then they didn't. So I would Google their house address, their home address, because so it would basically go like this. Somebody would call in thinking they're calling Sirius Satellite Radio to pay the bill. And they'd be like, hey, yeah, I got this message on my radio, I want to pay a bill. Okay, sir, what's your name? Okay, home address? All right, date of birth? Home phone? And they'd be like, wait, shouldn't you guys have all this? Is this serious? And I'm like, oh no, so you called DirecTV, but it's good you did because we have a great special going on, blah, 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 right? Like I said, it's a scam. Because now you got them on the phone and they've already given you their information. So it was either some DirecTV or ADT home security systems. So I would take their address that they just gave me, pop it into Google, and basically do the street view and say, like, give them a hypothetical about their house. Right. So so say, for example, you have 4 windows on the back side of your house. Somebody could easily get on your patio, climb up. I'm just talking them through how I would rob their house, basically. And people were like, oh my God, you're right. That could happen. Like, of course it could. I'm watching that, right? So I was very good. And more of the story is I made a lot of money selling home security systems because I would really just scare people in the buying. So then I end up getting a rental property. My rental property, the upstairs, somebody breaks my house, takes this copper. So it was my excuse. I need money because I need to renovate. So you know what? I know I can go get a quick 2,000, right? So, but when I hit the first bank, it was the adrenaline rush, like the rush of it. And this is gonna sound completely stupid, but just to the context of your question. So when I came home, before I started robbing banks again, I was like bored. I was like, man, this life stuff is easy. Like I had my own apartment, house, I had my own apartment, rental property, car. My parents were doing fine. I was only gone 4 years, so that 21 to 25 phase, a lot of my friends were either doing the exact same thing, like still in school, or they had dropped out of school and were just working. Like it wasn't I didn't feel like I missed anything because there was nothing really big that happened. But I missed a lot of my son's life at the time. So I was like, man, this is boring, man. This is crazy. It's something, I need something because I'm still kind of dipping and dabbing, but I'm going to after hour spots, but they're not as entertaining. The strip clubs aren't as good. So I was like, man, I'm missing something in my life. So then I hit the bank, and then the adrenaline rushed in the first bank. I was like, that's what I've been missing. That's it. And that's why I started hitting banks again. I only made it So I robbed 5 banks the second time when it hit me. And then
And you were on supervised release at the
yes,
time?
absolutely on supervised
Why didn't you
release.
just go get like a credit line on your house or something? You
That's
probably would have got more money than what you got from the
I
banks.
definitely would have. We know what it was. Again, I didn't learn financial literacy when I was in prison. I didn't know any of that. So what ended up happening was when I was again, my parents are great people, and shout out to them. They cleaned up my credit when I was, and so they paid off any outstanding debts. Student loan didn't kick in. I didn't have to pay any student loan back, so I had like really good credit. So that's how I ended up getting the property because I just had really good credit. And then same thing happened on the way back. I just didn't get property the second time. But yeah, it was a plethora of things I could have did. I didn't even get a credit. I never had a credit card. I didn't get a credit card until I got out the second time. I could have just went and got a credit card or a credit line, and anyway, and I could have did it all. I could have got a Home Depot line of credit and fixed it up just much easier. But it was almost kind of like how like a heroin addict would be like, oh man, I was clean for X amount of Zine. I had that first hit and I just fell off the wagon. Or alcoholics like, man, I was sober for X amount of time. I had one sip of champagne at a wedding, and then next thing I know, I'm on a bender, and that's what happened. Like I had that first bank, and after that, I was like, oh, I'm Billy the Kid again. I'm smart. I forgot I was smarter than everybody else, so I'm just about to keep hitting banks. This is what I'm about to do. I'm like, but I'm gonna be smarter this time. I'm only gonna hit like one bank a week, and then I'm gonna just make sure I scout that bank throughout the week, so that way when I hit it, I can get away, and then I'll just 2,000 every week to add to that. Big brain and thinking all is so far out, right? Unrealistic, because you're not hitting the bank every week for 52 weeks. It's just not happening, right? It's just not realistic. But that was kind of how I was thinking. And then so once I hit the first bank, man, I was like, oh, I'm off and running. And then now, because people knew already that I had robbed banks, because I went to jail, right? So everybody knew the bank robbery part. It felt more comfortable. Like it didn't feel like I was hiding. Right, I didn't tell people still, but it didn't feel like I was necessarily hiding it because you're assuming I'm being called a bank robber anyway. Because that's
Might as well own it.
might as well be that, right? So, yeah, so that's why I ended up start hitting banks again, man, and it didn't take long though. They got me quick.
How'd they catch you? Like fingerprints or?
No. So the bank the second bank I got caught with was more of. Not a fluke, because again, I think everything kind of happens for a reason. It was more of, all right, so this is what happened. I hit the bank, and this is one of the banks I had hit before.
Wait, the first case?
Yeah.
Dude, you went back to the same bank?
I went back to a lot of the same banks. I already knew the landscape of the bank. So I knew the landscape of the bank. I knew the landscape of the neighborhood. So I knew, okay, I can cut through this one, hop this fence, and I'll be at my car. So I hit the bank, and I'm like, all right, I come out. Guard chases me. I didn't even see the guard. I never saw the guard until I was in the parking lot coming out of the bank. When I'm coming out of the bank, guard starts chasing me. I hit the fence, and when I hit the fence, I leaned back against it. Instead of kept running, I just leaned back against it. He couldn't get over the fence, so he I could hear him struggling. I could feel him on my back, like hitting the fence, trying to get over it. So he's I guess he did one of these and just kind of scanned. And he didn't see me, and he dropped back down. So I was like, oh, man. So I go wait for a minute, kind of shuffle down the fence, get to the car, or hop another fence and then get to where the car is at. But like in that little probably 5-6 minute span, like the police have been called, all those things. Get in the car. I'm heading to the freeway, but it's a long line of cars. I didn't realize, so it's the freeway here entrance. On the other side of the freeway is the police station. So the police are coming this way as I'm in line to make the turn. So he's just driving slow, looking in all the cars. So now I'm like, man, I'm a black guy in the suburbs on an early Saturday morning. I'm sure the description went out as a black male. I was like, oh, man. In my mind, my license had just got suspended that week for an unpaid parking ticket. So I just got the notice in the mail. And I was like, man, I don't want to get busted for fucking my license, right? So when he comes, I just get to act like I'm playing with the radio and shit. I look back in the mirror. He gets like 2-3 cars down and just whips a U-turn and gets in the line of cars. I was like, oh, fuck. So now I'm like, man. I get on the freeway as I grab the money because it's in the envelope like this. I grab the money and toss it out the passenger window when I make the turn to get on. So I'm like, cool, I don't have the money no more. At least I can get away with that. So I'm driving, and he's not. So he's basically just pacing me. He's not. He doesn't have his top flashers on, just the grill flashers, and he's pacing me, just kind of staying close, staying close. So I'm like, oh, I got him. I'm probably like maybe 3 miles down. I say he's probably just gonna follow me for a little while and he's gonna drop off. So like how you can go up a like incline on a freeway and look back, like see in your rearview mirror, like back in the distance, 4 cop cars screaming. I said, oh, he's just waiting. So he's staying close and waiting till they come. So I was like, oh man, that's crazy. I was like, so I got in front of a car where that way he was like a car behind me and just punch it. Boom. So I'm in a Lexus at the time. So I got this ES 350. So it's like a Lexus sedan. It's not the, like the sports Lexus, but it's still faster than the Crown Vics that they're driving at the time. So I just punch it. And then so now I get off the freeway. I'm heading down the side streets. I'm so far ahead of the police that the people in front of me don't hear the sirens, right? So I'm going like 80 flying down the street. And now when the police come, when people start hearing the sirens, they're stopping and they're stopping the police, right? They're not stopping me because I'm already in front. They're stopping the police and they're getting away. So I keep getting on the freeway, but they're setting up roadblocks ahead of me. So I keep having to get off the freeway and then get on and then get off because I'm so far out from my house. I'm probably 30 minutes from the actual city. So I'm like, man, I got to get on the freeway to get back home. If I try to take the streets, I'll mess around and get lost. And now I'm just riding around in circles. So I get on the freeway, get off the freeway. So this is the Spike story I was telling you about. So what they're doing is they're trying to set up roadblocks in front of me so the cars are stopping and then they can catch up. But I'm just hitting the shoulder or, weaving and driving like a madman, weaving out. So the guy gets the spikes. I just look up and it's a clearing. I'm like, why is it so, where'd the cars go? So I look up and the cop is in front of me, but he has the spikes. His car's and this is a freeway though, mind you. So his car is stopped and then he's about to roll the spikes out to try to get me. So I just gun it at him. It's because he's old. As I gun it at him, he gets scared and just throws the spikes. But it wasn't enough. Like he didn't squeeze me down far enough to the lane because I went at him. So I had enough to get around the spikes and got out. So I'm going for a while. Again, the Western name backs up. So when I get to an exit, I'm about to get off. So he set the roadblock up, so I'm about to get off the exit. And they must have figured out the pattern, so he's waiting on me. He hits my car with the electric. The guy's standing outside with a thing. He hits my car with one of those electric pulse things. At the time, I figured out what it was in my discovery. But at the time, I thought he shot my car with like a beanbag gun because I just hear doop, and the radio goes off. But I thought the radio just went off because I'm doing 80 on the exit ramp. So yeah, I didn't really. I know it went off, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I don't know that my car doesn't have any power till probably about a mile down because I got off the exit ramp, gave me more speed, and now he gets back in his car and he's just following me, waiting for my car to die. So I'm like, but he's driving so slow that I'm like, oh, I can, I can do it. So I look up on the freeway as I'm driving on the side. I'm looking up on the freeway and I see the cars coming, like the police cars. They're trying to get ahead and come back this way. So I was like, all right, I'm going to double back and go this way. Okay, I got him. Again, I'm thinking I'm smarter than everything else. So I was like, oh, I got him. So I was like, I'm going to fake like I'm, turning. Then when he tries to cut me off, I'm going to go back. And I had this whole maneuver in my mind that I was about to do. This whole Grand Theft Auto, Fast and the Furious maneuver I was about to do in this luxury sedan. And so I turn. He cuts me off. I go in reverse and it just goes. And I was like, oh, what? Like what? So I just hop out, run, and jump the railroad tracks. I see a sign that says for sale 365 acres. So now I'm just out in the middle of this field, and then the police come, and I was like, oh, this is it. this is it, because they're about to jump the curb and beat me up. So I was like, oh, got it. And I just kneeled down in the middle of the field, and they beat me up though. They beat me up until the news chopper came. The news chopper came and I heard the cop say, hey, chopper. And I was like, chopper? Oh, thank you. Yeah, take me to jail. Take me. So
And
Yeah.
no bail this time, I'm assuming.
No bail. No bail. And so this is when so this is the interesting part. So the state picked this one up. They didn't pick up the first one because I robbed the same bank. And they felt like I was preying on their neighborhood. Exactly what the prosecutor said. He's like, oh, he's preying on our neighborhood. We want to give him 20 years. I know based on in the feds, you're sentenced off your base offense level. In the state, there's a sentencing structure. But I know I'm only supposed to get 6 max.
That's it for a second-time offense on supervised release?
Well, without the supervised release part.
Okay.
Because they can run the supervised release wild.
Okay.
So I can get the 6 and then 18 months on top of the 6.
But you got close to 6 your first sentence.
No, it's close to 5. 60 months is 57
only
months.
a year difference. Not
No,
much.
I agree. I agree.
All right, so
But my base offense,
but
base offense level, so it's only my second offense. It's not like I had multiple offenses before, then got the bank robbery. It's only my second.
And it's
offense.
nonviolent.
And it's nonviolent. And then I have my GED, because if you don't have your GED, that also works against you as far as sentencing, right? Which is another crazy way to be prejudicial. If I don't have my GED, I get an extra 2 years. Or I'll get my high school diploma, I get an extra 2 years. Crazy. But anyway, I was only really looking at 72 months would have been like my max. But the prosecutor's first thing, because again, once I get locked up, I'm on Nexus. I'm in the law library. I'm looking up all these different things. But the prosecutor was like, no, we want to give him 20 years. He's out here praying. We want to lock him up so he doesn't do this again. So in the state, it's in the state, they could give me 3 counts of fleeing and eluding, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, 3 counts of robbery, and then 2 counts of kidnapping. That's how he was trying to layer it to get to the 20 years. But in the feds, it's just unarmed bank robbery. None of those other charges even exist. There's no fleeing and eluding in the feds. It's not even, like, it's almost like they expect people to run, so they don't even give you that. So my lawyer's like, hey, we get this ran in the feds, we have a better shot. And I was like, well, let's get it ran in the feds. So she calls in a favor to the district attorney. District attorney picks up the case. Right? He's like, oh, open and shut case, easy. Yeah, sure, I'll take it. State won't drop it. So the state wouldn't drop my case. And they're like, well, that's double jeopardy. I'm telling my lawyer, like, that's double jeopardy. Like, because again, I'm in the law library and I'm halfway smart. So I'm like, they can't do that. And she's like, no, well, what they're doing is they're charging you with robbery, fleeing and eluding, kidnapping in the state. The feds is only charging you with unarmed bank robbery. I was like, that sounds like the same thing. I don't know, like, I'm the technical part, like, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like you guys are charging me 6 different times for the same occurrence. And then so she was like, yeah, but the problem is now that the feds picked it up, they're not going to drop it. So you might really get charged with both. And I was like, man, is there any way like we can work around it? So she talked to the district attorney, and he was like, well, what does he have to give us to, drop the case? I was like, I got shit. Like, because I wasn't, again, even the criminal lifestyle I was living before wasn't, I would have never told anyway. But even the criminal lifestyle before, I didn't have anybody to really tell on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't, and that's what they say in the feds, like, it's people that told, wish they would have told, and that didn't have anybody to tell on, right? So I didn't have anybody to tell on my first bit. And at that point, my prison morals and all that stuff kicked in, so telling just wasn't possible. So anyway, I'm telling my lawyer, like, I don't have anybody I don't have anything to give them. She's like, well, have you done anything else that you want to, like, maybe if you give them something you did, then that'll work. I was like, I can give them a couple other banks. Like, that's, I'm joking, though. I'm just like, I don't have shit. In my mind, I'm like, I don't have nothing. Like, I was like, I can give them a couple other banks. She's like, well, I'll see if they'll take that. I was like, well, see if they take it then. Let's go with that then. So they ended up pulling me down. I ended up proffering. I gave a proffer statement against myself for 2 other banks. And they took the 2 banks, went to the state, told the state, hey, we're picking the case up. The state told them, we want him to get double digits at least. And they're like, hey, it doesn't really work like that. We got to sentence him in his base offense level. So I ended up taking a binding plea to 8 years. That's how I got the 97 months. I took a binding plea, or the 8 years. I took a binding plea to 8 years, which was 2 years over my max of 72 months, in order for the state to drop the case in federal, or state to drop the case and it just be ran in the Fed. So I actually took more time So I gave him 2 banks that I did, just 2 random banks that I did. So it'd clear them up off their, whatever. You don't have to look for them, whatever. Or somebody looked like a hero. I don't know.
Did you have restitution?
Huh? Yeah. I still got restitution.
How much does that amount?
I don't know where it's at now. Initially it was 12,000, because it was the initial 9,000 some change from the first case, and then like another 2,300 from the second one.
Mhm.
But I didn't have to pay restitution for the 2 additional banks I gave them.
Mm.
So they just used that to clear these off their books. So I took 2 extra years over my max, in order to avoid the double jeopardy of getting sentenced in the state and the feds.
And what's your parents' reaction in this case now that you're popped a second time?
Ah, man, this time it was like it was a whole what the fuck is wrong with you? What did you think? What are you thinking? You have a son out here. Why would you do this? But it was so the second time, and this is where the shift in mentality changed. So again, me and my dad were really, really, really close. So my dad had contracted cancer in 2001. Went to remission, fought it, was going through chemo and everything. And one of the last conversations we had, he was like, man, I'm messing around and outlive my money now, because he's not working anymore. He just was living off of what he had. He was like, I'm messing around and outlive my money now, because, just I'm beating cancer so many times. And it was like a joke. But then I get locked up. So I got locked up on Father's Day. When I get caught, it was Father's Day weekend, so Saturday, Father's Day weekend. So when he's coming up to see me, so initially, love my father, man. My father was like, tell him you didn't do it. Tell him you were with me. And I was like, nah, Dad. No, not this. I took him on a chase. This one's over. This is, he was like, just tell him, I'll just tell him you was with me doing yard work, da, 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 da. I was like, nah, So then we go to arraignment. He hears everything. He's like, oh, yeah, it's over. So he's still coming to see me. And my biggest thing at the time, I was like, man, I'm about to, because, think I'm about to get 20 years at the West Name. And I was like, man, just make sure my son doesn't hate me. Like, I really felt that. Like, I was like, I already missed. So he was 4 when I left the first time. And then I just started to kind of, reconnect and all those type. Well, my parents were bringing him every week, every other week. So it wasn't like I didn't see him for 4 years. I saw him a lot. But it's different parenting from a visiting room and then being there with them. So my biggest thing was like, man, just make sure my son doesn't hate me for what I did, like, and that's the aspect of it. So it was more somber because we thought I was about to get so much time. And then my father, who again beat cancer so much, the stress of my case and everything else just weighed on him, and I could see him like dying in front of me through the glass. So every time he'd come up every weekend and see me in the county, and he just gets smaller and smaller, frailer and frailer, to the point he couldn't come, because I was in the county for 7 months. So probably came maybe the first 3 months, and then he just couldn't physically, body couldn't come, to the point of by the time I got sentenced, he was terminal. So when I got locked up, when I got locked up a couple months, maybe about a month or so, they told me he only had 6 weeks left to live. So they told me he had 6 weeks left to live. He ended up living 4 more months. And I think it was all because he just he was trying to see me or whatever, see it through. By the grace of God, man, shout out Judge Oliver, man. Judge Oliver and he's U.S. Federal judge in Cleveland, Ohio. He gave me 72 hours to go home and make peace with my father. Mm. It was crazy, to the point the prosecutor. So before he gives me the 72 hours, he issues a psychiatric evaluation, because he's like, this doesn't make sense. Something's wrong with you mentally that we have to figure out, because you're a good kid. Again, on paper, everything lines up. You have a Lexus. You're riding around a Lexus. Like, what else did you need, right? They drug tested me, so I'm not, not on drugs. They're getting the reports from my PO. My PO's like, we've never had a problem with them. Like, what, so he's ordered a psychiatric evaluation, which they never give me, by the way. They didn't give it to me. They didn't give me the psychiatric evaluation until I came home. Anyway, so the prosecutor, so when he says, hey, my judge told me that she's going to ask the court for it, or my lawyer told me that she was going to ask the judge for it, and the judge granted it, ankle monitor, all that stuff. Prosecutor said, what is going on here? Wait a second, I don't know. You just ordered a psychiatric evaluation. How are we letting them back into the community? Blah, 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 blah. At this point, though, so my mom and sister are the only people in the courtroom with, like, None of my friends came. None of the females came. Nobody. Just my mom, my sister, and I hear them in the back, and they bawling because you're hearing the prosecutors talk so crazy about me. Right? He's a menace to society, all this type of shit. So I hear him in the back bawling. So I just break down too. So now I'm sitting there in front of the judge crying like a baby. So the bailiff comes, gives me tissue. I'm snot, ugly cry, full ugly cry. There's nothing cool about this shit. So as the prosecutor's going through his, so into the mic, like into the mic, all this type of stuff. So the image that you're trying to sell, like narrative that you're selling, that I'm just this cold-hearted criminal, isn't matching the scared kid that he's seeing in front of him. And again, courtroom's empty except my sister and my mom. So it's really looked like, so you know what I'm saying? So what he's trying to say is just doesn't add. So Judge Oliver was like, nope, I'm giving him 72 hours to go home. You have to, once we get the ankle monitor on him, so they actually put me in the county for like 2 days until they got the people to put the ankle monitor. They had to get everything set up at home to set the house arrest stuff up. So I went home, man, got a chance, sat with my dad, 72 hours, man, made peace with him, which was so crazy because, I'm telling him, and again, I'm emotional, and I'm like, man, Dad, because he's bedridden at this point. So I'm sitting on his bed, like just death bed, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I just feel like I let you down. Like, I know how you raised me. I know the values and morals, and I know how hard you worked, for me to be this better person. And everything, I'm in a 2,500 square foot home, 4 bedroom, 3 bath. This is where I'm going to house arrest on. We got a jacuzzi in the house, right? And so I got this huge park. There's sitting on like a half acre of land. Like it's not a mansion, but this is a very nice home in a very nice neighborhood that you worked hard to put me in for me to put myself in these terrible situations. And I was like, man, I just feel like I failed you. And he was like, you did. Zach, come on, that told me. Yeah, you did. He was like, but you're still young, you still have time to make it up to me. And I was like, yeah, Dad, but you're going to be gone. He was like, still, you still got time to make it up to me. I may not be here to see it, but you know what you need to do. And I was like, man, so it was humbling because it was no level of this is okay, right? My parents never said like, it was like we still love you, but this was dumb as shit. What is wrong? Like what is? And then my mom on that, she was like, I don't know where we went wrong for you to do these things. It's like all that stuff like hit me so hard because I respected my parents so much that to let them down in that way was like really, like really. I went into like an 18-month depression, like real depression, like. So so when they sent me to McKean, because now my custody level went up, so now I'm at a medium, so I'm not at a low anymore. So anyway, well, let me take a step back. They give me the 72 hours, make peace with my dad. I have a self-surrender to the federal building, and then they end up taking me to CCA, like a holdover, and I'm at the holdover for like 2 weeks, and then they they put me in transit to start heading to my parent institution. But by the time I got to so when I'm in transit is when the chaplain came in and let me know my father passed. So my father passed before I even made it to my parent institution. So when I got to my parent institution, they were like, what's going on? I was like, man, my dad just passed. So they got me like under suicide watch and like not like paper suit suicide watch, just, they check-ins and all that type of stuff. So they were like, is there anything, going on? I was like, man, I still hear my dad's voice, like encouragement, just random stuff. So they're like, you're having auditory hallucinations. That's what we call it, auditory hallucinations. He was like, we're going to prescribe you. And whoa. I'm not taking any medication. Don't give me any medication, man, because if they prescribe you medication, you don't take it, they put you in the shoe. So I was like, don't give me any meds. Plus, I've seen people take meds and they turn into a zombie for 2 and 3 years. And then now they get off meds 6 months before they go home and they don't even know, who they are or how to function. So I didn't take any meds. So they started making me go to the psychiatrist. Every 2 weeks I had to go. If I didn't go every 2 weeks, they were going to put me on medication. And then if I didn't take the medication, they were going to put me in the shoe. So I was like going every 2 weeks. So they basically diagnosed me as a sociopath which I don't know how you just do that. But then they put it in my file that I was a sociopath. And then, but at the time, I'm going through such a depression, man. Like I opened up a ticket as soon as I got there, because again, I fall right back into bidding. So open up a ticket as soon as I get there, start running poker tables and all that stuff. But I'm just self-destruction, because inside I feel so terrible that I'm even being here, right? Then my father passed, and I'm not there with my family to mourn, right? I'm not there to comfort my mom, because she just lost her husband of 30-some years. Like, my son just lost his grandfather and father in a 6-month span. My son's mother's acting, doing whatever she's doing. Like, so she started keeping my son away from the family because of my actions. But she really couldn't, because my parents took care of my son while I was in my absence. So when she tried to do that, they were like, we take him to school every day. Like, we pay for all the activities. You know what I mean? Can't really do that. But again, just the fact that they had to go through that type of negotiation, right? So all of that stuff was playing on me. I was suicidal for a little while, all that type of stuff. But then what ended up happening, get to McKean, just fucking up. Like again, I'm so depressed that I'm getting in fights. I'm smoking weed. I'm bringing in weed. I'm trying to do everything, but now this isn't a low no more. This is a medium. It's like things are really, you know what I mean? Things are more severe. Like, the prison rules apply much more here. All those type of things. So they had called me trying to bring weed in, and it was like, oh yeah, we're tired of you. And then they put me under investigation. I come out. There's an incident. I'm not even involved. I'm just there. Somebody gets stabbed. They're like, hey, all of y'all are getting shipped out. You especially, because you keep getting racking up all these tickets. Come on, you out of here. And that's how I end up at the USP. So I'm in a full-blown depression, though. I don't care, like, what I'm, like, barely showering. I'm not worried about haircut. Like, I'm just, like, again, self-destructing from the inside out. Till I get to the USP, and I start seeing people like dying, like getting killed, getting damn near killed. I was like, you know what? Kind of like my life a little bit. Now I got 5 years left. I don't have 60 and not double life sentences, or that, because the higher you get, the more time people have. Like, so you might be sitting next, and I was almost in a unit full of lifers, like technically lifers, 40 years here, 50 years here. You have people that's been locked up since the 80s. Like, you know what I mean? At some point, they were somebody, maybe even gang leaders, whatever. And then now, they're just in the feds. So the feds give you a number. So your number may be long, it's months, right? And then some people's number is just say deceased. Like, they don't even give you the West name. So when I got there, man, like, I started seeing people dying, like I said, getting damn near killed. And I was like, I think I love me a little bit better. So I started trying to just work on me, man. Like, I asked people to send me, like, I got a subscription to a newspaper. I started asking people to send me like nonfiction books so I can start to trying to figure out shit. I'm taking every program they got. Like, I learned to play the piano. I'm taking carpentry, plumbing. I ain't picked up a hammer or a wrench since, but I'm taking everything that they have to offer, because I'm like, I gotta try it. I don't know what I'm gonna need, but I can't never come back here again, because I know if I come back, I'm gonna be here the entire sentence, right? I know they're gonna career me, and I know I'm gonna be in a situation like the USP the entire time, and I don't want to do this. Like, again, people are dying, people getting killed, even just the rules, right? Like, even just the stressfulness of living. Like, I say you can feel tension with a knife type thing, or you cut the tension with a knife. You can feel the tension when you walk in. Like, it just feels heavy on you. So it's like, I don't want to live here the rest of my life, right? Or I don't want to die here, or I don't want to end up killing somebody because I'm here. So that's what snapped me out of depression, man. After that, I was like, yeah, I need to try to figure out what I'm gonna do after prison.
Did you go home from there, or did you get to work your way back down?
Worked my way down one level. I made it to the medium before I left.
And on that sentence, how long do you end up doing? What do you say, 2011 to 2009?
Yes, I did 7 years. I was trying to get you the exact months, but I did 7 years. So from what I got sentenced January 2011. No, February. I got sentenced February 2011, and then I got out June 2018.
Do you think you were able to find what you were looking for?
What do you mean?
You mentioned that feeling, in between prison sentences about,
Oh,
kinda
the
searching
adrenaline
for
rush? Oh,
something,
fuck
yeah.
no. No, 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 no. There's no other rush like it. I'm just smart enough now to not do it. Yeah, no, it's like so I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm not saying like if I start driving NASCAR or something like that, like I wouldn't feel like the same type of rush, but it was everything that encompassed it, right? Like it was the feeling that I'm getting away with something. It was the I'm outsmarting the police, right? It was the actual adrenaline rush of being in the bank, right? It was scouting the bank, right? Doing a lap around the bank to see, doing a lap around the bank to see like, okay, there's um a Chevy Cavalier, a minivan, and an F-150, probably a loan officer or a guy that's in there, I'm gonna get a different bank, right? Like even just the selection process of that, all of it that went into it, like is what I think gravitated me toward to keep doing it, right? And just the adrenaline rush was what I could feel. That's what I knew was happening. But everything else around it, yeah, not the lifestyle, but just all of the came into the planning, the execution, and the escape, was what I was addicted to. But there's no way to replicate that really, like in the sense of like legally. Like I mean, I'm probably is, like, I guess.
Do you think having purpose now helps you? Keeps you out of
Oh
trouble?
yeah. So I think that everything I went through was was my purpose. I just didn't know at the time. Like even now, so again, I go around lecture on post incarceration syndrome, but I had to go through it to understand. I had to go through that depression to realize, right? Like it had to hurt, right, in order for me to help others, right? So I go speak to industry professionals, probation officers, caseworkers, all that stuff to try to give them more insight on individuals that are coming out of prison and just like why people may do what they do or how they're feeling. Like so, post incarceration syndrome it's not a recognized diagnosis by the medical community yet, but basically it's a social anxiety disorder, right? So a lot of things people say, oh, you burnt out because you wear your shower shoes to the shower when you get home, right?
Yeah,
Like
institutionalized, yeah.
institutionalized, right? Post incarceration syndrome. What it is, in a sense, it's the constant feeling that you could be incarcerated again, right? It's the constant feeling that the sentence isn't over. So that's why you hold on to a lot of your prison, mannerisms by your stuff, because it's almost like in the survive, your body's feeling like I can't let this go because I'm gonna need this again, right? The mindset, all of those things. Like I had a problem with keys when I came home. I couldn't hear keys jingling because since I was a bookie, so I did tickets. Anytime I heard keys, guards, nobody has keys except the guards. So I was always on high alert. I had to find out where the keys were when I came home, and people just didn't understand it. They're like, that's fucking weird. Like I was like, nah, man, like stop jingling your keys, man. It's bothering me. Even just the fact that like people that come out of prison don't like crowds, right? Because you've seen so many bad things happen in a crowd. You've been hurted in a crowd so much, it gives you your body automatically responds as if you're still in that traumatic experience that you were once in, right? It's similar like PTSD when people come home and they hear like, so I had I had a teacher. He was a computer teacher. He was, we were 9th, 10th grade, so I don't know what war he probably fought in, but we'll call it Vietnam. I don't know. He was old, right? But if you whistled, he would like spaz, like, because for him, he heard bombs. He was in active combat. So the whistle would bring back the bomb thought. So like, even though he's in the classroom with kids, the whistling would just do something to him, right? In that same light, this, if you're in a situation where you think you can go back to prison at any time, everything that reminds you of your arrest, of incarceration, is going to trigger something inside your body. And it's going to influence your actions. It's going to influence your thoughts. It's going to influence how you kind of move around. Even just survivor's remorse, right? There are people that get out of prison and they feel like bad because they left all their friends and homies in prison, right? So when they go back, it's like, oh, okay, hey, I'm back, da 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 da, right? So being able to go through that and then also be able to, being a GED teacher, as crazy as it sounds, allowed me to connect with people I probably wouldn't regularly talk to, right? So you're a gang leader with, 15 bodies, right? But you can't read the birthday card that your son gave you, right? Now you're a little bit more vulnerable. And I was so naive and ignorant to, at the time, so naive and ignorant to just prison life, and that we're not even supposed to be talking because you're the head of whatever you're head of, and you don't talk to blacks, right? So we're not even supposed to be talking, but it's okay because I'm your GED tutor. So now you can be more vulnerable. Like, hey, I've been, my son has been writing me letters, and I want to write them back, but I'm embarrassed because I don't really know how to spell. Like my handwriting is terrible, so I would write guys letters for them, like to their family, right? So it gave me that level of empathy too, because it's like when we get back on this compound, you're still a shot caller. But in this classroom, you're just a person that doesn't know how to read and wants to write to his family. So that gave me a different perspective also. So now when I'm going around trying to help guys, is because I have that empathy that built up while I was still in prison versus just, hey, now I'm just gonna help people, right? So now I work in like community corrections, and so I actually work with guys that come out of come out of prison like immediately, like the day of, and now so I can try to help them stay on the path, or try to get them on a path or solid foundation. And I just try to let them know, like, man, this is like, you want to stay out forever, right? So you don't have to try to catch, because I did that. I tried to catch up. You don't have to try to catch up. You want to try to build for forever. You want to try to stay out. So if your goal is to stay out, you don't have to, I have a term called ordinary success, right? Like everybody thinks you have an idea of what success is in your mind, but ordinary success is you went to your job, came home to your place, your space, went in your refrigerator, enjoyed your life, right? Just that's success. Like that's a vision of success. It doesn't have to be Mercedes Benz. It doesn't have to be hanging out over here, over there. Like your success doesn't have to be dictated by other people's perspective, right? Whatever it is for you is successful. That's, whatever living a happy lifestyle for you is, and staying out of prison is fine. Ordinary success, man, just boring, ordinary success. And then being the best version of yourself, right? As long as you're pushing and striving to be the best version of yourself, and that's going to look different for everybody. Best version of me is going to be different than the best version of Ian, right? But as long as we're both striving for that, especially coming out of prison, like that's what, guys really got to focus on. But instead, a lot of times, you've been watching Love and Hip Hop and all this other type shit, or just your own personal imagination, right? Sitting in your cell, like, man, if I was home, I could da. And now you go try to chase those things, and they're already gone. Like you're never gonna be able to catch up to the money that you lost before. You're not gonna be able to get the car that you were driving before, because all that stuff is gone, right? And then now moving forward, how do we really get yourself in a position to move forward? What do you need? You don't have your GED? Let's start to figure out if we can go get you your GED. You know what I'm saying? Let's start to put things in place that you're home for 30, 40, 50 years, right? That you're able to die in your home with your grandkids surrounding you, right? Like, or just be around your loved ones more than just in and out of their lives. And sometimes it gets through, sometimes it doesn't. And I tell people, like, hey, your journey may be to go back to jail. That's mine was I had to go to jail twice, like that, to be able to deliver messages, like to be able to try to really help people. I had to go to jail the second time. It hurt. It was a terrible experience to go through, but I needed it to be able to talk it better to, like I said, industry professionals and to individuals that's coming home, because I can't say, hey, you should be better when I'm not, right? So it's just everything I went through, man, just helped me get to a point of where I can speak to people like honestly, right? I can be me at all times because I carry my story with me. Right? I can be me because I generally want to see people be successful. I generally want to change the post-incarceration system, right? Or adjust it, because what happens is everybody looks at criminal justice reform as like sentencing, right? Sentence reform, or how like the actual incarceration conditions are. And we forget that we're letting people out, right? In Cuyahoga County alone, in Cleveland, Ohio, we let out 5,000 people return to Cuyahoga County every year. That's, people have to go somewhere. People have to do something. You have to put things in place. You can't just sentence them and then let them out and say, figure it out, right? That's why the recidivism rate is so high. And no one leaves prison like, I can't wait to go back to prison. Nobody, like, no one leaves prison and is like, you know what? It's nice here in the spring. I'll be back. Like, it doesn't happen. So somewhere there's a shift in your mind that the risk of going back to prison is worth it, right? The risk, once you get your risk reward, and it could be flawed, you got flawed logic, but you've made the decision that I'm going to take these penitentiary chances because prison isn't as bad as, whatever your justification is. And that's where I think the system fails those coming home because they just let you out. It's like, hey, you should be happy that we let you out of prison. It's like, no, my sentence ended and now I'm out, right? But what do you have for me now? Nothing, right? I was like, so I'm an adjunct professor at a community college now as well. And I'm always trying to bring some of those resources into individuals that are coming home into the reentry space because those aren't resources that people would think that they're eligible for, right? You don't think that you're eligible for like the GI Bill that's going to cover, you to go to college, right? You don't think that you're eligible for some of these other certification programs where if you get the certification, now you can make an extra $3-4 entry level. Like maybe you able to be more promoted and all these different things, and you just don't know because nobody tells you. Like even your probation officer, they just give you the rules until you follow them. They don't break them down for you. They don't explain it, right? And then even some of the rules are fucking ridiculous. You can't be around any known felon. 1 out of every 3 black men have a felony. Where am I gonna go? Right? My barber, shout out to Dave. My barber is my mentor, right? He went to prison once, never went back again. One of the greatest people I know, sincerely. But had I not been around Dave coming home, especially the second time, I wouldn't have been able to see again the ordinary success, right? Like I'm like, man, you going on another cruise? He's like, yeah, man, I'm going, like those type things. Like, yeah, me and the wife are gonna go, 4 days in the Bahamas on a cruise and da 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 da. Like, no, I don't have my passport, but this is how I can go to the different stuff. Like, oh, like it's just regular stuff, right? And you don't get those regular stories because they're not as exciting, right? You get this person came out of jail, drug kingpin returns back to the city and goes right back to the top. And then it's like, yeah, but then 2 years later, you know what I'm saying? He's dead or in jail. Now you don't, and the reason you don't get the ordinary success stories is because they're living their life, right? Guy goes and gets a job at, I don't know if you have a Lincoln Electric out here, but guy goes and gets a job at Apple, right? He works in the Apple plant. All they do is just ship out iPhones all day, right? He works on the shipping dock, makes $26 an hour, full benefits, goes home, drinks a beer, watches Jeopardy, plays with the dog, and that's it. And he's happy, right? That guy's never gonna come out and say, "Hey, look at me, be like me." He's just happy. He's just successful, and he never went back to prison. And there aren't enough times where we glorify that part, right? Of just staying out. Like it's hard. It's an everyday walk because there's so many collateral sanctions, right? There's so many doors that close for you once you become a felon. Like I just ran for office, so I just ran for office in suburb outside of Cleveland. They took me to the Board of Elections 3 times to get me removed from the ballot because I'm a felon. No other reason. Like legitimately, the paperwork says they put my entire 2005 plea agreement in the briefing to try to sway the Board of Elections to take me off of the ballot, all because I was a felon. And that I won twice. But it's the fact that I had to go to court for something that happened 15 years ago, right? At that, actually, they were only using the 2005 case, so that's 20 years ago that you're bringing up just simply because I'm a felon, right? There's certain places you can't live. No matter how much money you make, some HOAs just don't take felons. Doesn't matter. Don't matter how much good you're trying to do. Some schools won't let you work there or work with them because you're a felon, right? I had a young lady I was trying to help find a job, and in her sentencing transcripts, the judge said she can't work anywhere that serves alcohol. That's that's like, because again, as a felon, there's a lot of places I just can't work. So now you're saying I can't work at any restaurant, I can't work at any hotel, I can't be a vendor at a baseball park. We got her job at Taco Bell, but it was a Taco Bell
Cantina, like the ones that sell liquor.
So it wasn't. They didn't sell liquor, but it was connected to a gas station that sold beer, and they were like, "Yeah, she can't work there." Like, yeah, but she works at the Taco Bell part. They're like, it doesn't matter. They sell on the premises. They sell alcohol. So it's like you're painting her into a corner where she can go find something else, but it's just going to be so much harder, right? And you have to be intentional about not going back to jail because there's so many things that are in your way about it.
Mm.
And excuse me. And it turns into the more good you try to do, like in your mind, like, hey, every time I try to do something good, I get, violated for leaving the county. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like silly shit. And it forces people to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna, if you're gonna think I'm a criminal, I'm just gonna go be a criminal. Right? Or if you think I'm a drug addict, I'm just gonna go be a drug addict because you're treating me like one. And then that's how the recidivism rate just keeps staying the same. Like, there's no reason why there should be a 60-something% recidivism rate. Like, what are we doing? Like, there has to be a problem here. It's flawed. I've even talked, so I've gone like to Capitol Hill and spoke with people about there should be a third, so every prison should have a third party come in and do pre-release training or pre-release classes, right? And that's when you put in the financial literacy, all these other things, emotional maturity, all that thing. Because my pre-release person twice was somebody that was in prison with me. I get out before you do. How are you running a pre-release class? And I get out before how are you going to prepare me? You've been in longer than me, and I get out before you do. How could you possibly prepare me for being out and staying out, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where, like I said, we're not intentional about the post-incarceration piece. So I try to do my best to bring awareness to the post-incarceration piece because we're losing people that, like, there's some people that just, they're going back and forth to jail. That's just what they want to do. That's their life. That's their journey. So be it. But then there's people that are like, man, what else am I about to do? I got to, and then they may start out with breaking small rules, small laws, and after a while, it just turns into, bad behavior. And then these are people that go back but could have been saved. Right, but if had you done more as far as a system structure to try to save them, yeah, man. But that was a long-winded version of yes. My purpose, I think my purpose guides me and helps me move through life and accept everything that's gone on in my life thus far.
Well, Alex, I appreciate you coming on the show today, man. You're an incredible storyteller and just a great guest all around.
Man, I'm glad you enjoyed me, and I enjoyed being here, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's all about giving the guests like an open space to talk and run with it. And it's even better when the guest can bring it back to the question doesn't wander because then the audience appreciates you.
Okay, all right. That works. I try to be as concise as possible, man, but I want to give you details to kind of, again, illustrate not even just my general thought process, but then people that may think in the same light, and then even just being an inspiration, man. Hopefully, my story inspires others to just again be successful and or not even successful because I don't want to just keep kind of harping on that, but just understanding that being yourself and staying out of prison is enough. Right? You don't have to do and be this huge thing. Like, you're not gonna catch anything. Just be happy, right? I got a bunch of little kids around me, so like when I come home and I get that energy from the kids, like that's enough. Like I don't have to. Like I do have a lot of accomplishments and other stuff that I'm doing, but that's what I come home to. Like that's the if nothing else, if I worked an ordinary job, but my 3 little kids were home every time I got home and ran to me every day at the door. That would be enough. So just trying to get that to people that you don't have to take chances that you don't need to. You can just live life, man, and be happy.
I love that. Well, safe travels back.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.